everybody, and welcome to the Contra Code. I'm Mike the Rat Guy here with my friend Howardbware.
Howdy.
Howdy. It has been a busy couple of weeks for me here at the Contra Code. I don't know if you've been up to a whole lot these last couple of weeks, but we've been so busy that we haven't even really talked too much since the last episode.
Been very busy. I've been finishing up at school, and now tomorrow starts my first day off for summer, where I have 70 straight days off in a row.
And you're paid for those 70 days, aren't you?
I am paid. I just got paid for all 70 of those days. I just had 5 paychecks deposited into my bank account.
So that's how they literally just give you 5, just here you go, thump, 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 like not one big lump paycheck, but a multitude of paychecks all at once?
Yeah, and I also got a nice stipend because I do some extra work throughout the year, and I can choose to get those stipend payments in small increments, or I can choose to get it in one lump sum at the end of the year, which is what I do. So, pretty fucking cool.
That's nice. Yeah. I mean, man, I don't think I've ever gotten I'm sure I've been in a situation where I've gotten 2 paychecks before, but that was because one of them was late or there was an error. I don't think I've ever had somebody, in fact, I know I've never had anybody just hand me 5 paychecks before. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Good goodness.
Yeah. So that's exciting. I don't know what I'm going to drink a lot of beer and have a lot of campfires outside the back of my house. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're going to do the responsible beer drinking. When you said drink a lot of beer, I just immediately assumed that, you're just going to spend all your paychecks just on beer. Just
all
wasted.
My paychecks on beer, and I'm just going to drive around and drink it. See how fast I can drive, and see if I can drink the beer even faster while doing so.
That's a terrible idea, and you will endanger the lives of others. But you won't die, because the rule is if you drive drunk, nothing happens to you. You kill other innocent people.
Yeah.
That's. I can't remember the last time that I saw a drunk driving story where the driver fucking died, and not some child who was just crossing the street. It's terrible.
Nuns or something.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
Well, I won't be doing that. I was being facetious. I will definitely be not driving and sitting around. I have a little burn pit in my backyard. I like to have little campfires and sit out there under the stars and look up in the sky and drink me some beers. So that's what I'll be doing a lot this summer.
And see, I'm sorry, that and what was that?
That and hanging out with my boys. I pull my boys.
They'll be drinking beer with you.
Well, they'll be getting me beers. I'll tell you that much. Kid, Daddy's drinking. Go get him a beer.
I hate you. I fucking hate you too. Now, see, I would imagine, I don't drink beer myself. I just don't. I'm just, whatever.
Right.
The kids today call it straight edge. I never had a name for it when I was growing up. I just didn't like to drink or take drugs. I'm whatever. It is what it is. But I would imagine
he has no experience to base this off of, by the way. He just knows he doesn't like it.
No, the beer I actually have, you're technically right. You're half right. I've never tried pot. I've just never been interested. The stuff stinks. It smells like dirty, foot. So I don't know. Well, them too, the really bad ones that don't bathe, yes. But beer, on the other hand, I have tasted it just out of, let's see what this thing is that everybody talks about. Yeah. And I thought it was it tastes just like wet piss. I don't get the appeal.
Well, you probably tasted a Budweiser or a Miller or something.
I may have, honestly. I don't know.
It actually does taste like wet piss, so.
You get the high end, like the fancy snobbery beer.
I am a bit of a beer snob. I like to enjoy the beer I'm drinking, and I do not enjoy Budweiser, Miller, those little, those Americanized, watered down college kid party beers. I'm not a big fan.
Well, I guess where I was going with that was that if I did drink beer, I would imagine that rather than obviously driving, which as you pointed out, you really shouldn't do, I would think that sitting in the grass, well, not sitting in the grass, but just enjoying your lawn, looking up at the sky, maybe checking for a UFO or two, watching the satellites. I would think that that's the way to drink.
Sure.
Spend a nice, relaxing evening around a campfire. That sounds like a good time.
And I'm well beyond the point of drinking myself into a stupor. I have kids who are not going to care if I'm hungover in the morning, so I tend not to tie one on too much. I just like to enjoy a few pops while I sit outside and enjoy the weather and look at the sky and check out nature, that kind of thing.
Oh, sounds relaxing. Sounds like a nice, just calm way to spend some summer days. Yeah. Summer eves, I guess, as it were.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be coming to Kenosha in not too long. Yeah, I just got a new car. Well, not a new car, but I got a used car that is new to me, so I'm very happy about that.
That's always exciting.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's a decent car. Nothing fancy, but it's gonna get me to town, and I haven't been to town in a while of my own volition. It's been years since I actually just drove myself to town for the fuck of it. So yeah, looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. That's excellent.
Yeah, we'll have to party and get plastered and drink lots of wet piss.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Is it dry piss? I guess we referred to wet piss.
I assume. Well, I mean, piss does dry. I think I'm the one who's referred to it. It's on my mind for some reason. Thinking of wet piss. I don't know why.
Piss all over like the floor, let it dry, and scrape it up, and then
right.
Just, like snort it, basically.
You could. I guess one could do that. I'm not really sure why you would, but I mean, it's there. It's there to do.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, piss has to dry sooner or later. So yes. I let's get off the topic of wet, dry piss.
There we go.
All right. All right. Anything in the news?
Anything in the news? There's several things in the news. Just this past month, actually, we didn't acknowledge in our last podcast that Pac-Man celebrated his 35th birthday.
Wow, 35. That makes me feel really old.
Yeah, fucking Pac-Man is a year younger than me.
Yeah, God, yeah, just a year and change for me. That's kind of amazing to think about. Was the original Pac-Man actually in arcades at that time? I thought he debuted in like 81. I guess I've probably got the year wrong.
Yeah, maybe 80.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe he was in Japan before time, but I
that's
do
true.
know that it was the 35th because I just read it actually, so I imagine nobody was lying. And on my phone I have a Pac-Man app that I play from time to time, and it's updated itself and gave itself a new little veneer, and it said 35 with the Pac-Man. So
that's pretty neat.
They're really celebrating that everywhere.
That's pretty cool.
Since we're celebrating anniversaries and birthdays and whatnot, Nintendo launches a celebration for Super Mario Brothers' upcoming 30th anniversary.
I'm very no. My reaction is one of thought, is one of pensive thought. I'm trying to look back to my earliest memories of Super Mario Brothers, and hearing that is 30 years old. That actually kind of, I don't know. Again, that just it puts things into perspective. It really does. I mean,
It's one of the most popular video games of all time, and it's the game that got a lot of us into gaming in the first place. So.
Yeah, was Super Mario Brothers, would that have been the first game that you played? Do you know? I know it wasn't mine, but it was close, yeah.
First actual Nintendo game that I played?
Oh, first Nintendo game, sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not the first video game I've played.
Oh, okay.
But it's probably the first video game I've played that I was like, well, fuck yeah, this is great,
Yeah, really kind of like shows you what's possible, yeah.
Yeah.
So they just so then what are they doing for the 30th anniversary?
Well, originally released on September 13th of 1985, Super Mario Brothers has given all of us countless memories throughout the years.
I can count mine.
Something Nintendo and yeah, I can count mine.
Sorry to interrupt, but I had to really point that out.
Something Nintendo intends to celebrate in style. Nintendo's official Japanese website recently launched a small microsite to hold all of the anniversary content for the Super Mario Bros. Series. Although its main aim is to promote the upcoming Super Mario Maker game, this microsite provides some fantastic content, albeit in Japanese, which goes through many different games the Italian plumber has started over the years, along with some thank you messages from Nintendo too. So apparently there's like a little homage site and probably some weird playable levels. It looks like I see a little video. It shows some bricks spelling out 30th and Mario jumping. It makes me wonder if it's just a picture they made or actual level you can go play. So who knows? Maybe I'll go check it out after this.
You bring up what was it called? Like Super Mario Maker or just Mario Maker? Is that what that was called?
Upcoming Mario Maker game, yeah.
Now, I can't remember who I talked to about that or where I heard this. I know very little about it because I haven't followed the story. But I mean, my understanding is that will actually just let you design your own Mario levels to play through. Is that how that works? Do you know anything about that?
I have not looked into the Mario Maker game.
Okay, I think that's what it is.
Perhaps I'll look into that and that'll be on next episode's news.
Yeah, there you go. That might be something interesting.
Yeah, if you can go make your actual old classic Super Mario levels on Mario Maker, fucking awesome.
It's a good time. I mean, the Mario
like
games.
Excitebike on steroids.
Yeah, there you go. It actually would be. That's kind of a good comparison. Yeah. Excitebike.
That was the coolest thing about Excitebike, honestly. It was pretty fun to go play the Excitebike levels, but then, you would design this. Well, actually, as you're designing this course, you're throwing all this shit into there, getting more and more excited about how awesome your course is. And it was always just terrible to try to drive.
Well, because you'd always throw in all the biggest obstacles you could, thinking it's going to be like this rad, like fucking. Instead, it's just like you make like I don't know, a screen of progress every minute or two because you're crashing and tumbling and overheating. It was not very practical at all.
You would have just put those little arrows everywhere, so you never you would just hit all these like rad jumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in other news, Cybergadget's multi-console system Retro Freak is set to rival the Retro 5 with the PC Engine support. So I don't know if you're familiar with like what is it? I think it's called like the Retron 5.
I maybe there's so many of them.
When you were in town last and we were at the vintage video game store, I think I showed you. It's kind of a console that has a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo built into it, and you can plug in like the classic style controllers into it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a third party Nintendo, basically.
Okay.
But they have various ones. They have ones that are just Nintendos, or ones that are Super Nintendos, or ones that'll support like Nintendo Genesis and Super Nintendo and all that stuff. But basically, if you're looking to experience the Retron 5 and the Hyperkin's all-in-one system, it's a fantastic offering to the retro gamers with a limited space. Basically, it has ports for a shitload of different fucking games. Looks like you can play Sega Genesis games, Super Nintendo games, Nintendo games, N64 games, Game Boy games, Super Game Boy games, Game Boy Color games, Game Boy Advance games, and TurboGrafx 16 games. It has a slot for every fucking one of those.
That's a lot of slots.
Yeah. So, it's awesome, actually. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I don't know if I'll buy one. But honestly, if, I would, I guess. I don't know why I wouldn't buy one. It's
well, how much is it?
Let me see. It doesn't see if there's a price here.
That's how they catch you.
Yeah. Well, I know the other system is only like $150, $200 or so. So it's not like
only is subjective though. If you're actually paying for an actual machine that you put the actual cartridges into, that's there's something to that. There's a feeling there that you get that you can't get with emulation.
Sure. It doesn't look like they have that information out yet. So.
Okay. Maybe they're just, gauging interest. Maybe they're still, formulating a price. Hard to say.
Yeah, but it's cool. I find it cool that they actually did, recognize the TurboGrafx 16 and give you a little port for that. So.
Yeah, the system did actually make a little bit of noise back in the day. It never really was that successful in the U.S., but it was for at least a little bit kind of like the third tier system. People were aware of it. So, it is nice to see it getting some love from time to time.
Sure. They have a handful of, system unique games that are very fun. So. Yeah,
Bonk's not one of them, but
no, Bonk is, well,
Oh, goodness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If there's a cock that exists anywhere, Bonk will suck it.
What the fuck?
That's how bad fucking Bonk is, man. It sucks the fucking cock.
That should have been the copy on the front of the package of Bonk. If there's a cock, Bonk will suck it.
There you go.
Oh my god.
That fucking game. All right. So yeah. Well, if you listen to our Bonks episode, you will know that this week's episode we played Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And
we did.
It was released in 1987.
That it was.
Yeah. Any fond memories you had from 1987?
I'm trying to think if there's anything I remember about 87 specifically. Some of those younger years of my childhood, I kind of remember them based on like what teacher I had in grade school.
Sure.
That's kind of how I can differentiate because a lot of those years kind of blend together.
Yeah.
I know that 1987 was not too long after I saw the aftermath of a horrific accident in Waukegan, Illinois, where a bunch of people were thrown from a car that had sped really fast and slammed into a telephone pole, and there were bodies all over the lawn of somebody's house. That was fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was late December, I'd say December 26th of 1986. So, I spent a lot of 1987 stewing on morose thoughts that children shouldn't be thinking about. I remember that.
Did you happen to be listening to the hit Bad by Michael Jackson while doing so?
No, I wasn't that cool at that age. No, I should have been doing that.
No, I preferred Weird Al's Fat, which was actually much more entertaining. But
you didn't like Bad? You didn't like the original Bad from Michael Jackson?
No, I was at that point where I was starting to get a little too cool for Michael Jackson.
You went through that age. Yeah.
Possible, I guess I liked the Thriller album as a kid, but I was mostly into rock and roll and things. So I was probably listening to Whitesnake's "Here We Go Again."
Oh man.
Yeah.
No.
Terrible. But
I think I just heard that on the radio like 3 days ago, and I thought, oh, fuck this.
Fucking Whitesnake, yeah. And then, or the Bangles, Walk Like an Egyptian. That was.
We were both listening to that at the day. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a good.
You had. I don't know if you remember this. You probably will. I don't remember what it was called, but you had.
Rockers?
What? Pocket knockers? Is that a real thing? Rockers. Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what you tell us what that's all about.
So basically, Pocket Rockers was like a little cassette recorder. Not a recorder. It was a little cassette player. It was a lot like an 8-track player, but mini. And,
so was it like, my memory, and I could be incorrect about this, but my memory is that they were like, help me out here, answering machine tapes, like little tiny tapes. Were they like that?
They were more like, they were that size or maybe even smaller, but they were built more like 8-track tapes.
Oh, so literally, when you said 8-track, you mean they were actually, like, they were styled, that's where the actual tape came out? Wow.
You, like, shoved that end. I don't know if folks, kids, who might be listening to this, who are not familiar with what an 8-track is, Google that shit.
That's like 3 generations behind what I think kids of today are familiar with.
It was all the rage. But, basically, it was like an 8-track tape. It was set up the same way. It had, like, a small little tape. Well, 8-tracks were huge. 8-track was the size of like a paperback novel. But
that's not a joke. That's for real.
But these little tapes they were built like it. Basically, they were a little tape, and they had one exposed end, in the casing that had like the tape, and you would pop it in, and it would play itself. And I think you could either hit reverse or it would play. I think that's just it. I think it had 2 sides of the tape, and it would read both sides of the tape. So basically, you could hit it to go one direction, and it would play song A. All these little tapes came with like 2 songs on it.
Yeah, that's what I remember about yours. The reasson why I bring it up is because I remember one of your tapes was, in fact, Walk Like an Egyptian. I can't remember what the other one was.
The other side of it had Manic Monday from the.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I had a few of those tapes, and it was pretty cool. It was kind of gimmicky. It was one of those things you found in a toy store, and they probably licensed a couple of songs from every popular artists at the time. I probably had a shitty Bon Jovi tape and a couple other, but there was no really cool tapes on there. It's not like I had an awesome like Sex Pistols Pocket Rocker tape.
Now that I couldn't even imagine that. Here, kids.
Exactly. But we were. I'm glad you remember that. I was actually thinking about that the other day.
Just randomly, the Pocket Rocker.
I was actually not randomly. I was listening to Creedence Clearwater.
Always a good choice.
Oh, I love Creedence, and you know that song "Down on the Corner."
Yes, I do.
That was the commercial for the Pocket Rockers commercial. And it's
really
down on the corner, out in the streets, and then it like changed the lyric to like Pocket Rockers, something feeling the beats or some shit, and it was like
Pocket Rocker, make you gonna feel neat, some stupid shit like that.
So I was like, I can't believe Creedence sold out and fucking. But in hindsight, Creedence.
Well, they were probably all.
Well, they probably didn't own the rights to their song. They was like.
Are they even still alive? Maybe they were dead at the time, and just like a relative sold it or something. Sure. Well, now that song is shilling for like fucking CVS or Walgreens, so Yeah, it's even worse. Sure. But yeah, the Pocket Rockers, it's funny when you really think about, like you said, just the sheer gimmickry of it. It's like, it's a tape player that only plays like 2 songs. Like you couldn't just spend like the extra $10 or, not you specifically, but one.
In fairness, they have always offered like singles cassette tapes. You could, like, if you were a kid like me, I grew up pretty poor. So I couldn't always afford to run out and buy, like, that Red Hot Chili Peppers record that just came out. But I would go buy, like, the single of, like, the popular song at the time. And it would always come with, like, 1 song on each side of the tape, which is a similar thing.
I guess that's true, yeah. Kind of like a singles system for kids. That's not a bad way of looking at it.
Yeah, and it was cool. I played the shit out. I love music. I still do.
Oh, I remember, yeah. The 2 of us ran back and forth in your house. I mean, like, maybe not literally, although I like to think that we were just literally running back and forth across your house, just like, yeah, I love Pocket Rockers, just playing the music all day.
We did that for hours.
I think we honestly did, believe it or not. I'm not even exaggerating. I think that actually occurred. I can't fucking believe how much I love Pocket Rockers. Sure. Oh, goodness. Awesome.
Well,
so that was, I was just saying, 1987. Right on.
Fun fact about 1987. 1987 was shortened by 1 second to adjust for the Gregorian calendar.
There are fucking scientists that are paid to come up with this shit.
They were like, hold on.
Looking at their watch. Okay, good to go.
We got to shorten this by 1 second.
So
where would we be today if they hadn't done that?
We'd be 1 second behind. Or forward, rather, yeah. Oh, God. Okay, well, all right. I don't think I even knew about that at the time. That's interesting.
And speaking of our affinity for music back then, Aretha Franklin was the first woman to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Fuck Aretha Franklin.
I like Aretha Franklin.
I really don't. She should, name 5 songs that she's ever done, and one of them can't be Respect.
All of them are Respect.
Yeah, seriously. She made one song that, in my humble opinion, is not even really all that good, and, she's, like Queen of the Divas or some shit. I think she actually referred, I swear to God, she's, supposedly, some kind of, Queen Sheba fucking...
WWE, and she's Queen of the Divas?
I would actually watch if that were the case. She probably has. She probably fucking has. That would just be such a random, clash of existences. Fucking Aretha. I can't stop laughing about it. Just the idea is absurd. Oh yeah, you just turned something stupid into something awesome. Nice.
I gotta mention this because my Chicago fucking Blackhawks just moved on and they are in the Stanley Cup final, which is...
You're referring to right now live, not 1987?
Not 1987. In 1987, Wayne Gretzky led the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup, just as my Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews would like to do for the Chicago Blackhawks. So I'm super fucking excited. It's one of the hardest fucking things to achieve in any sports is winning the Stanley Cup. So the Blackhawks are potentially going to do it for the 3rd time in 5 fucking years. So
okay,
yeah,
I would imagine pretty prestigious, pretty uncommon.
They're one of those teams. If they pull this off, they'll be one of those dynasty teams that are just fucking awesome.
Hockey, not an easy game, very competitive game.
And
hockey.
it's a fucking marathon. I mean, let's think about it. What month is it right now? And they're still going at it. I mean, literally, they play fucking games every other day from fucking late October, early November on. So
that's a long season.
Yeah. It's a long season if you make it to the playoffs and go far into the playoffs.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's 4 rounds of the fucking playoffs, and each of them are a best of 7 elimination game. So, you got to play that team and beat them 4 times before you move on. So, unlike the Super Bowl where a hot team can get streaky, pretty much the best team always ends up winning the Stanley Cup because you're not going to have fucking 7 fucking fluke games. You know what I mean?
I was going to say fluke. Yeah, very good word. That's what I was going to say.
Exactly. So.
So
good for my fucking Chicago Blackhawks. They moved on. They beat a really good team to move on to this round, and they are going to be playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, and so.
All right.
So there we go. Buddy Rich, the classic jazz drummer, died in 1987.
Okay.
Along with Fred Astaire, the dancer.
Do you remember when they had all that controversy when they put Fred Astaire in a vacuum commercial, a Hoover commercial? I think it was Fred Astaire. They took a digital version of him and stuck him in a vacuum commercial after he was dead.
And people were upset about this?
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming.
Just amazed that.
No. There was outrage. It was cries of tastelessness. Yeah. People were very bent out of shape.
Fred Astaire was very tasty, so. But not as tasty as ice cream cone cereal from General Mills, which was also released in 1987.
I want some ice cream cone cereal right now, and I'm upset that I can't have any.
Ice cream cone cereal?
No.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I would imagine.
It was. Picture this. I know you would love it because you love those cookies and cream. Fucking
the Hershey's cookie, yeah, fuck yeah, I do.
These were little puffs like that. You could either get vanilla flavor or you could get chocolate chip flavor. So basically, it was vanilla with little chocolate chip speckles all over them, and they were little puffs like that, were the ice cream, and then they had little cone-shaped chunks that were it was kind of like Captain Crunch, but it was those little cone chunks things along with the little ice cream scoops, and those were fucking fantastic.
I can imagine that being good. See, until you mentioned the extra pieces, like the waffle cone bits that were more or less like the Captain Crunch, I was thinking that, well, it sounds good, but I'm wondering how much it would actually taste like ice cream as opposed to just whatever, like generic vanilla or cookie crisp.
Nothing ever tastes like ice cream except for ice cream, but it was a neat little game. I love cereal. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I dig like breakfast cereal. I mean, just it's delicious to eat. I love how they always release a cereal for whatever fucking popular movie or cartoon or this or that or the other thing that's out at the time. So it's just neat stuff. I like how you get free toys in them or this or that. And
well, you've got a very good book that talks about cereals, right?
I do. It's called The Great American Cereal Book.
That sounds like a really interesting book. I've looked for it before and I can't seem to find a copy. That's not online anyway.
Well, next time you're in town, I'll let you thumb through it.
Yeah. We never actually looked at that when I was in town. I'd have to remember to do that. I want to check it out.
Yeah, we were very short on time when you were in town last time.
We were.
Yep. And that's about all I have for now. Oh, 1987 too. Are you familiar with the Atari XE gaming system?
I should be. I've heard the name before, I think, but that must have been right when they were. I mean, again, time-wise, 1987. That must have been when they were really struggling to try and be relevant.
Exactly. They were they killed home video gaming. They were basically snuffed it out with E.T.
Pretty much.
And just when Nintendo started fucking making a name for home gaming again, Atari was like, let's try to fucking snuff this out again. These fuckers. It was like they had something against it. But anyways, the Atari XE gaming system. It was released by the Atari Corporation in 1987, and it was based on the Atari 65 XE computer. So they had an actual computer you could have, and it was compatible with the existing Atari 8-bit computer software library. So they were trying to break into that whole 8-bit modern gaming market at the time, and it was actually able to operate as a standalone console or a full computer because you could buy a keyboard for it. So you could actually have a keyboard on your a computer on your TV at home, which was kind of neat.
For the time, that probably would have been pretty cool.
Yep, and the deluxe set, it had the console, the keyboard, a joystick, and a light gun. So they were really trying to fucking compete with Nintendo. I never heard of this system. I didn't find it until I was researching stuff from 1987. And it was awesome.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and they released, they had a couple gaming consoles out at the time. They had the 7800 out, and they had the 2600 Junior. So
that one I'm not familiar with. 2600 Junior. What was that like just a resized 2600?
It was like an updated version of the 2600.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Man, yeah, I mean, points for trying, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I have a warm place in my heart for Atari because it was the first system I ever had my hands on. So
same here, yeah.
And there was, contrary to popular belief, and just because things like E.T. existed, there were some very, very cool games for it. So.
Oh, for sure. I can list a bunch of them off the top of my head. I mean, I'm not going to, waste your time by doing so, but yeah, Atari was, they were successful for a reason. I mean, at that time, Atari, it looks like shit today, but, for its time, that was, it was a pretty great system. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Being, the age I was at the time. I played me some Asteroids, that's for sure.
Okay, we do have to give a call out to Asteroids. Asteroids was probably my favorite video game at that time. Yeah, big fan.
Very fun. Well, what movies were you watching in 87?
Well, man, in our pilot episode, we ran through just a ridiculous, huge list.
We didn't really delve into
No, that's just it. Yeah, I had to pull one from that list because we covered not only just good movies, but a ton of good movies because 87 was just like a banner year. Yeah, I'm going to...
Would you say we covered a plethora of movies?
A plethora. we covered a multitude. A horde. Yeah. If you want to go with the classy version, yeah. We covered a metric fuck ton of movies back in...
Fuck ton.
Yeah. I want to give a little bit of time. I covered it just a little bit in the first episode, but I want to go back to it. RoboCop, 1987. Yeah. I love RoboCop. RoboCop is really, it's directed by Paul Verhoeven, who also did Total Recall, which is amazing, and Showgirls. I
watched Total Recall the other day.
There you go. Yeah, that was a Paul Verhoeven movie. And I don't know if you ever, if you knew that he also did RoboCop. I think RoboCop may even have been his first, I don't know if his first American movie, maybe first movie period. I'm not sure. But the concept of the movie is basically just, in Detroit, I can't remember if it's, I don't know if it was supposed to be, it obviously wasn't contemporary Detroit. It was like a little bit in the future, but I can't remember how much of the future. Sure. Detroit's going down, crime everywhere. The cops.
It was basically Detroit.
Oh, that's so sad. I'm sure at some point we're going to have a Detroit listener who's going to be like, my city's beautiful, because from what I understand, it is, but maybe not so much then. So,
from
yeah.
what I understand, they've shut everything down. There's abandoned building, and, like, bears are starting to move into them.
Bears? Like, literally?
Like, literally. Like, they're just, I don't know.
They don't just have crime in abandoned buildings. They have bears.
There's not just hobos squatting in an abandoned building. It's bears.
Oh man, well that's bad. Okay, yeah, I can't really paint
that on besides
So somebody actually told you this though. Somebody was like, "Dude, there's bears."
I heard it somewhere for some reason.
Oh man,
it's just gotten so bad that.
I mean, I got to be, Mr. Diplomat here, but, every town, every state, whatever, has its shitty areas. My understanding, I've never been there myself. I don't know, like, what the story is now, but I guess, at the very least for a while, maybe still now, I don't know. But for a while, Detroit was really bad. And kind of capitalizing on this idea, they made the movie RoboCop, which was all about the fact that Detroit was so bad that in this kind of dark comic booky style, the Detroit was so out of control that the cops have like, they've unionized. The cops are a union. They're going to strike. The crime is so bad the cops are going to strike. And how can I set this up without really giving anything about the movie away? Basically, just, long story short, a really good officer dies, and he's pretty much blown away by this horrible, horrible gang leader, played by Kurtwood Smith. Most people know him from that really shitty 70s show, which was terrible, and I hated it. Did you ever watch the 70s show? A little bit of a break here.
I hate that fucking show.
Oh, you too?
I'm
good.
one of the few, like, I don't know, I don't dig it. I don't dig the actors on it. I don't dig the writing. I've gotten stuck watching that show so many times because so many people do like it, and that's just not for me, man.
Now, do you think it's because it's just just any other sitcom, or because that show in particular?
It really, if people want to act like it's not, it is any other sitcom.
Same with The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck that show.
It's just bad. It's unoriginal, bad, recycled jokes with laugh tracks and canned laughter, and we've seen it all before. It's just... It's the same fucking formula and material that's been recycled since the early fucking 70s, late 60s. There's just terrible. So let's talk about RoboCop, which I will go out on a limb for RoboCop, and it's one of the very few what I would call perfect movies.
It really is.
Yeah, it's done so fucking well. It's a perfect movie. Nothing needs to be changed or redone or anything about that movie. There's never at a point do I feel like, I wish they would have done that or that got a little this. It's a perfect fucking movie.
Again, I'd have to completely agree with you. Again, the setup is essentially, this cop gets massacred, and the police at this point in time are, again, they've unionized, and they are purchased. They are actually bought outright by a company called Omni Consumer Products, OCP. And a young head start, a young engineer in this company, OCP, has decided that he's going to try and integrate a new program, a new idea that he's got for fighting crime, because the crime is so bad. He has this idea of molding a human being with electronic parts, machinery, to try and make basically a super cop, a super soldier.
Cyborg cop, yeah.
Yes, indeed. And, basically it goes on from there. There are problems. The cop, starts to remember, what his life was like before he was massacred. He's no longer a human being. There's a little bit of Frankenstein in there, actually. It's really kind of a cool, grim story. Lots of action. Fun. The characters are incredibly memorable. Again, Kurtwood Smith completely steals the show. Go ahead, all those.
The propaganda videos, the commercials.
Oh, I forgot about those. Yeah.
There's all these propaganda videos that are trying to promote the necessity of these things, and it's fantastic.
Like the gas guzzling 6000 SUX super sports car.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh god, the movie's so Reagan era fucking, bye.
It's done really well.
It is. It's just a really good, really grim, very sharp, very satirical. It's just when the movie first came out, my parents showed this movie to me when I was like 9 years old, because I think that they probably thought the same thing most other people did, which is that it's just whatever. It's just a action-filled, swear-filled comic book movie. While it is that, it's also very dark. Again, extremely cynical, very satirical of not just like pop culture, but that decade of pop culture specifically. It's really got it all. It's just a fun movie.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's my pick for 87.
I dig it. I support it. I back it. Rent it.
You'd buy that for $1.
I bought it for $7 in the bargain bin at Walmart on Blu-ray, and it is. I'm glad I did. And I'm looking at it now. As we're doing this, I am staring over. I have a case in the corner of my room where I have action figures and toys and things that I've collected, and I'm staring at my RoboCop action figure as we speak.
That's right. I keep forgetting that you've got one. I need to get one.
Safely under my
under your tree. No one cares about Booster. All right.
The movie I picked is not a perfect movie by any means. It's not even a movie I recommend. However, I do feel it's a movie worth talking about, so I will bring it up.
Interesting.
I felt like the same way you did. We covered so many movies in our pilot episode. Yeah, we didn't talk about them, and I won't hesitate to pick one of those in the future. I just figured I'd pick one that we didn't cover that I thought was, a fun enough movie to watch once, and it's a really bad fucking movie. However, sometimes really bad fucking movies are really entertaining for different reasons. Over the Top. 1987's Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone plays Lincoln Hawk, and he's a struggling trucker who arm wrestles on the side to make extra cash.
Isn't it like to support his estranged son or to get custody of his son?
He's trying to put his life back together because he walked out on his family 10 years ago, and basically his estranged wife is dying or something. And she convinces him to go pick up his son from military school, who resents his dad for not being there, and he's this. Was he not there because he was in an arm wrestling tournament? Is that why he walked out on his family? Well, that's just it. I don't fucking remember. I know there's a stepdad, the kid's grandpa, it's super loaded. He's super rich, and he does not think that Lincoln Hawk deserves to be in his life. And it's so bad. He goes to all these places, he arm wrestles for cash, and there's all these huge hulking dudes arm wrestling, and he has this gimmick where he has his trucker hat on, and he turns it backwards before he goes and fucking arm wrestles people, and that's he's it's my switch, it's like turning my switch on, and I'm already to arm wrestle because I'm fucking Sylvester Stallone. And then fucking, it's such a fucking terrible movie, but it's really fun. I mean, everything I just mentioned. He's a trucker who drives a truck around. He picks his rich kid up from military school who hates his guts, and he travels the city and wins his son's love by being a badass arm wrestler on the side.
The story writes itself, doesn't it?
It's so bad. I don't recommend watching it. But if you do, you'll probably be entertained in one way or another. I basically brought this movie up just to let you know that happened.
That's awesome. That's I never saw Over the Top, but I remember seeing a commercial for it, like a trailer back in the day, and I swear to God, I remember just a shot of the little kid actually saying the words, "Over the top, Dad, over the top." Oh,
and it bombed because it had a $25 million budget, and the box office brought in $16 million.
Wow.
So,
yeah. So the same year that Stallone was doing Over the Top, Schwarzenegger was doing Predator.
I will throw out a fucking heads up to pro wrestler Terry Funk, because he was a bit character in that movie, so it's always good to see Terry Funk getting some work outside of wrestling.
Was he one of the arm wrestlers?
I think he was one of the angry rich grandpa's bad guy hired hands to warn him not to be coming around Michael or whatever the fucking kid's name is.
That's good stuff. That's poetry.
It's so bad.
I still need to see that movie just to watch it for all the right reasons. I've never seen it. I know, right?
Oh God, I recommend it to you. I honestly think you'll be thoroughly entertained.
I mean, I don't even, hate Stallone or anything. I could recognize when he's in something that sucks and still, be entertained by it. Like First Blood, which does not suck at all. That movie's really good.
Great.
Yeah, First Blood's that's going to show up on this podcast one of these times, But I mean, when I think of Stallone, I think of stuff like First Blood, The Expendables, movies that I legitimately enjoy. Over the Top, I would enjoy it for obviously ironic reasons, because I can't imagine the movie ever being anything Does it take itself seriously? Is it like a?
That movie takes itself so seriously.
Oh, good. Yeah, I can see that being fun. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's this scene I recall. where it's like he first picks his son up and he has his music on in his truck, and the kid turns the music off and he turns it back on. The kid turns it off, and he's it's kind of one of those button heads with my son. He's gonna turn the music off. I'm gonna turn it back on. I'm gonna do this. Fucking dad, you gotta listen to me because I can arm wrestle and I'll fucking arm wrestle your mom and your fucking dad and fuck you. And it's just oh my god, it's such a fucking silly movie. Man.
What I like to wonder is whether there was like an actual arm wrestling craze going on in the country, or was there?
Arm wrestling. Yeah, there was an arm wrestling. I couldn't believe it either, but I watched.
Oh,
for some
good
reason,
Lord!
I like to watch documentaries sometimes when I'm on Netflix, and there was this arm wrestling documentary. Like this guy, like this simple fucking arm wrestling guy who like took out the Russians somehow or something. So I had to.
Are you sure Stallone didn't write that too?
He probably ripped it off from that. I don't know.
Oh man,
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, here I'm laughing. I'm doing a podcast about video games and retro like goofery. So I mean, whatever, to each their own. But like that was a thing. That was like people cared enough about that like random ass thing like so much that somebody made a movie out of it. That's great.
Yeah, that happened. That absolutely happened.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah. And that should be a perfect segue into Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Oh, goodness. All right. Yes.
Punch-Out.
Go from arm wrestling to punching people.
You owned Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, did you not, as a kid?
I did. I got it as a Christmas present from my sister for Christmas of 1988.
Nice.
Yep, got it on Christmas Eve of 1988. I remember that specifically. I told her that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I've never owned it, but everybody owned it. So I've never been short of a copy to play. I've played the shit out of that game as a kid, even though I'd never owned my own physical copy.
Did you ever play it at my house? I don't remember you and I playing it together.
Sure,
you did?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh,
like you actually remember?
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know why I'd forget something like that.
I don't vividly remember, but I remember for sure playing it at your house. Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, for Christmas of 1988, the big games that year were probably in this rough order: Super Mario 2, Zelda 2, and Castlevania 2. And Punch-Out those were all holiday games of 1988. And Punch-Out, although it had come out a year before, I think it was 1987 in North America. I think it was the very tail end of 1987.
For sure.
Yeah. And so for Christmas of 1988, my family, I don't want to say I was a spoiled kid. Some people have said this. I never felt spoiled. I was never like just lauded with, treasures or anything like that. But my parents both worked very hard. And that year they got me the two big games. They got me Mario, and I think they got me Zelda that same time. My sister got me Punch-Out, and I can't remember who asked me this. I think probably, in fact, my sister, which of the three games I liked the most. And I told a white lie. I said, well, my favorite of these games is Punch-Out. And I did that just to make my sister feel good for having gotten the one game because my parents had gotten me the other two games. The truth was I preferred Mario 2. That was my favorite game that year, that Christmas. Sure. But, Punch-Out kind of stands out to me because not only did I get it for a gift at that Christmas from my sister, but it also was kind of like a bonding moment between she and I. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a very cool gift.
Yeah.
So what did you think? What did you think back then when you popped in Punch-Out? Was it the first time you had played it when she gave it to you? Or
that's a good question.
Had you played it beforehand?
Excuse me, I'm pretty sure. Go ahead, because you.
The first time I'd played it was at, you remember the Sotos? They were
yes, yeah, I do.
Yeah, and I went down there and I played it at the Soto's house. And, Pat Soto, childhood friend of mine, he's one of those kids that would beat every game. Like, there's those kids that would play all kinds of games, this and that. Like, he would beat every game, no matter.
Now, was that because he was diligent or because he was just that good? Probably both.
Both. He kind of had like one of those natural, just good at fucking video games, and yeah, he would play it. He wouldn't give up, and he would just whatever, he would learn whatever was hard about the game and master it and move on, and that's what he would do. So he would, he was the first person I'd ever seen, beat Tyson in that game and play it. But I played it a lot over there. It was quite fun.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I believe that I'm sure that I rented it first, because again, the sweatshop, which we talked about probably 5 or 6 episodes back, sure. That was kind of my local haunt. The Powerhouse was another one, but that one came a little bit later in my life.
The sweatshop was much closer to your house, too.
Oh, yeah. It was a matter of maybe a mile from my house, if that. Yeah, very close. Well, actually, probably a little bit closer. Not that it matters. It's not there anymore, sadly. But yeah, they had all the good games, and I remember loving Punch-Out ever since I was a kid, so I'm sure that I would have rented it there and probably really enjoyed it. Never never got to Tyson as a kid. I know that much. Or at least not at first. Not at first. I have gotten to him when I was a little bit older, 12, 13 or whatever. When the game first came out, no.
Had you ever beaten Tyson as a kid?
No, I never beat Tyson. No. Wow. That was back when he was just as untouchable in the game as he was in real life, unless, of course, he went against Pat Soto.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, watching him beat Tyson and then trying, he'd hand the controller over and let you play Tyson, and he would just smoke you. Boom. It's like,
Yes, he did.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you think of the cover of the game?
Oh, it's nice. It's got Mike fucking Tyson on the cover. I mean,
yeah.
It's fucking cool, man. He's punching random guy that's kind of off screen. I wonder who that is. Probably just an actor.
Yeah, probably like Joe the prop guy or something, yeah.
There's a ref in the background who looks nothing like Mario, who actually is the ref in the game.
That's true. I wonder why they didn't do that. Do you think they would have had like a little drawing of Mario or something?
That's just it. They kind of reenact the exact cover for because once Mike Tyson became like a rapist or whatever, they kind of
alleged. Let's be fair.
Well, no, he wasn't alleged. He was convicted. So
he was convicted, but that doesn't mean he did it.
Well, he's no longer alleged. He's convicted.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Alleged means that was an allegation. Then an allegation came. People decided, yeah, he did it. So
I'm just trying to support my boy.
I like Mike Tyson too. If he's not eating children, I can turn my head at a little rape.
That's good of you. Good.
Anyways. They kind of reenacted the cover with some white guy punching out a guy, and then they did make that referee look a little more like Mario. But,
that's right. We should mention that, actually. The white guy. The game originally began as just Punch-Out. Mike Tyson was added to the game after it was already released in the arcades without any celebrity of any kind.
Right. And then on the consoles, it was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Was there actually a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out in the arcade? Because I played Punch-Out in the arcade as a kid as well, and I don't remember it being Mike Tyson's Punch-Out in the arcade.
I have never actually personally played a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out in the arcade, but here's what I know. It originally began as, again, just straight up Punch-Out. The last guy was Mr. Dream, just like some random, white guy. And then when it was ported to the home console, they had to make some adjustments. Some stuff couldn't, work on the home system, and so they made adjustments here and there to make it better. I think it was I'm almost sure it was Minoru Arakawa who actually saw Mike Tyson fight when they were still in the midst of making the home console port, and they loved him. They thought that he was great. He wasn't champion yet. And they signed him for a very cheap deal, and they had him endorse the game, stuck him on the cover. And I think after that game was successful on the home system, on the actual Nintendo Entertainment System, I think any future PlayChoice 10s that did show up in the arcade, I'm guessing would have used the Mike Tyson version, unless licensing, agreements prevented that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do remember when Little Mac in the arcade, he was kind of like this.
He was like a wireframe boxer, I think.
Exactly, like a green wireframe boxer, which was...
did you like that better? I never did.
I didn't like it better because I was obviously more familiar. However, I always found it appealing to look at. I kind of liked that Mac, but not better, per se.
That's interesting. I guess, again, to each their own. I never did. I always thought that looked like he seemed half finished to me. It's like put his skin on, Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. When it came to the home system, Mike Tyson was on the cover. I have no idea. I mean, the game was a big seller. I know that much. I have no idea how much it sold, but it was really big. And Mike Tyson, obviously, he became champion. I don't know exact dates, but not very long after that. So that was a big coup. They took a big gamble. They got Tyson in the game, and then he went on to dominate the fucking boxing world.
Yeah, he did.
Oh my God. Yeah. People today who don't, anyone who's into boxing nowadays, boxing fans are pretty good. They'll go back, they'll look at old tapes. They're not like wrestling fans where it's like, it happened before I was born. It sucks. No, boxing fans will actually go back and watch the good fights because they can, appreciate the sport.
Boxing's turned to complete shit and it's all.
It has.
Terrible.
Oh, you think it's fixed, huh?
Well, fuck yeah, it is. the most crooked people on the fucking planet run boxing, and
I don't know if Don King is still in the game or not. I don't know.
He's not, but it's definitely somebody smarter than him is fixing.
Well, Bob Arum's still doing it, so fair enough.
If you watch that Pacquiao fucking
yeah,
Mayweather
Pacquiao
fight,
and Mayweather,
you fixed fights are fucking.
You actually did you legitimately feel that fight was fixed?
Well, I definitely feel that they knew they shouldn't have been fighting because if Pacquiao had the hurt shoulder, then they shouldn't have been fighting. And honestly, both of them everybody involved in that should be fucking.
I mean, that's borderline fraud. Yeah, I agree.
It was absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially what they were charging people for that shit. Fucking A.
Yeah, $100 for a fucking pay-per-view. $100.
Yep.
For a single fight.
Exactly.
Good Lord. Yeah, it wasn't like that back when Tyson was, I mean, it was, but it wasn't $100 bucks. Back in the mid to late 80s, Mike Tyson just, if you dared to step foot in a boxing ring, Mike Tyson would kill you. You would be dead. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah, he was terrifying.
Yes, he was. Terrifying. And back then, Mike Tyson's story in a nutshell, poor kid, grew up as a criminal on the streets of New York, had no father, hardly had any family, maybe not any family at all, I'm not really sure, came under the wing of a trainer, Customato. And Customato, taught him discipline. He recognized his power and said, I'm going to train you how to use it properly, how to fight effectively. He made him watch hours and hours of old tapes. He had him actually study the quote, sweet science, as it were. He trained with Teddy Atlas. He actually became a good fighter because he still had that discipline. It wasn't just power. He knew how to use it properly. Exactly. Yeah. So at that time, he was a machine.
He didn't just have a mean hook, which he did.
Right.
He fucking knew how to fight. He knew how to box properly.
Yeah, and that's when he was in the game, and man, those were the days. I miss that time.
Destroy people.
Yes, he would.
Yeah, I mean, he just,
Most of his, I don't know off the top of my head what his record is. I want to say it's around, and I don't know exact, but I want to say it's around like 48, 52, something like that. I think probably like 45 of those are knockouts. He's lost, I think, 6 times. I think like 3 or 4 of those losses were like in the last 5-10 years of his career. So yeah, I mean, at the time, I mean, people have argued that, Tyson just fought like nobodies. I mean, you don't get the championship by beating nobodies, I mean, you beat champions, and that's what he did. He beat them all. He was and still is the youngest undisputed. That's all the boxing classes, all the championships. Youngest undisputed champion in history. Still is.
Yep.
So anyway, there you go. That's a little bit of Tyson for you.
And somebody who is not the best boxer in the world would be Glass Joe. And that is the first boxer you face when you're playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
I like how the game, that's one of the fun things about this game, is it's got character, it's got charm. They really kind of telegraph,
when you pop it in and it starts, has the boxing glove.
Oh yeah, the fist punching through, yeah. Sure. That, and it's coupled with the, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's Gillette razors, the theme song, do, 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 do. That's an actual old song that I can't remember who does it or what it was based off of. It was based off an old commercial that was used to promote the fights back in, I think, the 50s.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Oh, yeah. Nintendo did not make up that tune. They actually took it, I don't know if they paid liberties or whatever. It's, could be public domain, but yeah, that's an actual existing tune, yeah.
If they did not pay royalties, then I recommend everybody just use Nintendo things for free for the rest of
Nintendo is, perhaps ironically, one of the most staunch antagonists against the, use our stuff without permission mentality. Yeah. Nintendo does not like you using anything of theirs. Did you hear about that though? A couple of years ago, just side tangent here, they were actually getting a lot of heat because they were like pulling YouTube videos down because people were like let's playing their videos as if that's gonna take money from their coffers.
That should actually be very appreciated free advertising.
You'd think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, a different mentality.
The Gillette Cavalcade of Sports is on the air. Choose the razor that is built for you. Light and regular and heavy. Hey, slick shave for any beard. Olay!
But yeah, when you first pop in Punch-Out, it really does a good job of setting the mood. Like pro wrestling, which is another Nintendo game that I love, but I would argue with even more character and more, typical Nintendo pizzazz, it really kind of like sets the stage. Like, yeah, this is a boxing game.
Exactly.
Yeah. What did you think? What do you think of, the initial experience putting in the game?
Oh, I love it. I love that punch. I love that little ditty, and I like it even more now that I know it's based on a thing that used to promote the fights, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it. You put it in. It's exciting. It's, I don't know. It's fun. The graphics are fun. They're very cartoony. It has a lot of
very cartoony and very colorful. Yeah,
very unique. Yeah, exactly. All the characters are very unique. They're, a lot of them are very stereotypically racist and
racist. A lot of ethnic stereotypes. I was we were gonna talk about that. That's for sure.
Sure. So.
Big sprites. Nice, big, fat. Very clear moving characters. Now when you look at them, you could see all the jagged lines. They look like they were, drawn in Microsoft Paint, but they were drawn by somebody very skilled at Microsoft Paint. So you've got these big, cool characters coming at you, and they have their silly little animations.
Time, it was excellent animation.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's not taking away anything.
There's a whole audience watching the fight in the background. They're just
good crowd noise too. Actually, when you first start up the fight,
Mario is the referee.
He's a crooked referee. He fucking slow counts, man.
He is a cunt.
Stalls on 5 and 8 and shit.
Yeah,
little bastard.
He counts fast as fuck when you're on the ground.
So you're right. It's fixed. We should have known right from when we were 10 years old. The evidence is right there. Exactly. Fucking Mario.
It's the most realistic boxing game ever. So, how did you stand up against Glass Joe?
He took me down. No, of course not. Yeah, Glass Joe, you, I don't even, does he have, a Does he have a telegraph? I don't recall.
He just has a taunt, and you counter his taunt.
Oh, he is the taunt, that's right. Yeah, he kind of, does the, come here, come get some, or, hit me, or, yeah.
You can basically punch him whenever, and he very seldom can block it, and he just kind of gets you warmed up for, stronger fighters.
That's kind of neat. That's sort of I don't want to say that it's a Nintendo type of thing, because I'm sure, there have been many examples of other companies, producers who've, had this kind of trend, but Nintendo is really good about kind of slowly getting you into the game, easing you in, starting you with not too much of a challenge, and then kind of increasing it as you went. And, that's never really anywhere more apparent than with Glass Joe, because obviously, he just stands there. He's a punching bag. He's a meat bag.
Exactly.
Yeah. I suppose one thing that I want to point out is that because we didn't, well, I'm assuming you probably didn't as well, lose to a lot of the lower level characters. We didn't get to see their little dialogue in between rounds. They always have a little comment. True. Yeah.
When you go between, say you didn't, there are 3 rounds to each fight, and each round is 3 minutes long.
Very fast minutes, it should be pointed out, but yeah, you're right.
And if you go into that little segment, it kind of shows a black screen. It shows your corner, and you have Doc, who is your corner guy, and it shows your opponent sitting in his corner, and it has a little dialogue that comes up. Doc will be like, keep working on him, or I've what does he say? I'm tired, Doc. Blah blah blah, whatever.
Cut me.
Yeah, and then they'll have whatever. The other guy will have some kind of ethnically racist remark about something
It's so true. Glass Joe probably said something about French fries or something, because I believe he's French, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's your stereotype right there. He's French, so of course he's pathetic. Sure. Of course he falls down easy. Oh, that's bad.
One thing that, one little trick of the trade is if you go into that little thing, only once you can do this. You have to choose when you want to do it. If you think the fight might go 3 rounds, you might want to wait. But if you're in, between rounds, you can hold the select button down. And that will increase your energy when you go back into the fight. It'll give you a little boost to your power meter.
Yeah, because in between rounds, well, basically to set it up, you have what do you have? 5 attacks. You have straight jabs to the face. You have a left and a right jab, and then you have body blows, left and right, and then you have the game. I think describes it as an uppercut. It's not. It's a haymaker. Mac just wildly swings like a beast. That's your big power move that you should only use rarely. So you've only got 5 attacks, but in addition to that, you've got to dodge, you've got to block. When the enemies, when your opponents hit you a lot, you get fatigued. You can only block so much, before you get so exhausted that you turn pink to illustrate that now to defend yourself you can only dodge. You can't. Yeah.
There's little hearts, a heart meter. There's a star meter and a heart meter, and then your health bar. And basically not really meters. There's numbers. There's
there's
a star, which basically if you hit the guy right, a little star will pop above his head, and it gives you like a super punch you can do. It's kind of a knockout blow. If you
again, it's a haymaker. Yeah,
exactly. And then there's a heart meter, which is basically your stamina. I would imagine
that's your fatigue. Yeah.
So as long as if you're out of hearts, your guy turns purple, and you can dodge punches and stuff still, but you can't throw any punches until you've recovered, a little bit. So.
You're extra vulnerable in that stage. So of course, as with, normal boxing, in real life, the idea is to not get hit.
Yeah.
Sometimes easier said than done with some of the characters in this game.
Right. But, very easy to do with the next character, hailing from Germany, Von
Kaiser. Yeah.
Oh, Von Kaiser.
Von Kaiser. He does a silly little dance when he just kind of like bops around. Like, he's got like an evil expression on his face. He's got like, a snidely whiplash mustache.
Exactly.
He's a villain. Yeah. With him, I don't remember. One thing I noticed about him is that he's not wearing regulation trunks. He's wearing like spandex on his legs. That's a little bit messed up.
Pro wrestler looking.
Yeah. He looks like a wrestler. They just threw some boxing gloves on. Unfortunately, I did not get to hear any of his, in between round comments either, because he went down pretty easy. He's
got an instant knockdown when he's stunned and he makes that kind of crazy face. You can blast him in the face and lay him down with one punch.
Yeah, isn't it that if you he has at one point in this game the characters all they don't fight randomly. All the characters in this game it's basically a puzzle. You're trying to figure out what
exactly. There's a patterns to everybody.
Right.
You have to figure out their pattern. Yeah.
And of course, when you do figure out their pattern, that makes it easier to, take advantage of it, hit them, when they're weak, whatever. And, sometimes you can get like a one hit, knockdown if when to hit the guy just right. Glass Joe, again, I don't remember that he has too much. Like you said, he's got a taunt, but, Von Kaiser, like, doesn't he sort of, I only played this just a few days ago last, so all the characters are kind of like blurring in my mind, but does he not like do a thing to where he kind of like ducks down? He goes left, right. He'll do like a duck.
You can stomach punch him and get a star every time he does that.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
Kind of keep going back and forth, and you can literally do that till you knock him on down, basically.
Some of the characters in this game don't fight very, very effectively. They get into patterns and like don't break them.
But that's okay, because some of the fighters in this game fight a little too effectively. So
it kind of picks up near the end. That it does. Yeah. So Von Kaiser, not too much of a challenge. He's as far as again, without knowing what he says in between rounds, I can't really say how much of a stereotype he is. But of course, he's like an evil villain. So I guess that fits the bill. Yeah. You stun him a couple times. I think when you punch him like once or twice or whatever, and then you prepare to do your haymaker, he'll kind of like make like a weird. I don't even know how to describe it. Like a duck face of some kind, and he'd basically waste for you to knock him down.
And there's only so many boxers in this, and they do recycle some of them. You do end up seeing,
a few.
There's a few they choose that, there's two, they kind of change their pattern up, like it's almost like they went and trained to fight you again. Somehow. Right. And basically you see a couple of them again, so.
On one hand, I thought that was kind of cheesy because they do, obviously recycle. I think there's a total of like 11 or 12 boxers in the game, including Tyson. I think you wind up fighting like 3 or 4 of them a second time. So you have about 16 fights or so, I think, throughout the game.
But at least, I gotta hand it to them, they did at least change them up. They are different to fight the second time.
Oh, for sure, yeah. They don't have the same strategy, or at least if they do, it's not as effective to counter it, so, yeah.
Now, the next fighter is Piston Honda, coming from Japan, and he's also blatantly racist and stereotypically Japanese. However, he looks like my buddy PK, so, hey, B, if you listen to this ever, you look like Piston Honda, motherfucker.
How do you like that?
I've actually posted a picture of it on his Facebook before. It said BK, but it's funny. PK, however, is Native American. He is not Japanese. But
interesting then how that works.
Yeah, it looks like him. And sports I've seen him sport a bandana very similar to that before, which is
perfect.
Which is why, yeah.
Yeah, Piston Honda, when I was a kid, he's not one of the later characters that everyone remembers as being really problematic, but Piston Honda is the first one, at least that I remember, being a kid, having a little bit of trouble with. It wasn't quite a cakewalk.
They start introducing you to the fact that, okay, guys, this is going to get a little bit trickier. He's kind of got the first one to come at you with like a knockout-y kind of series of blows, and it's a very easy pattern to recognize, and it's very easy to figure out how to dodge it all. But again, he's the first toughie you fight, kind of.
I think if I recall correctly, he's the champion of the minor circuit, isn't he? Isn't he?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the ranked number 5 in the world champion of the minor circuit.
Then that's either a very I don't know. Think of Glass Joe being 2 spots behind him. That's interesting. That makes me think that it's a very unpopulated ranking system, or just whatever. I don't know. Yeah, Piston Honda, is he the one who kind of again, the character's kind of blurring a little bit. Does he at one point kind of jump backwards and do a little dance?
Yeah, it goes side
he
by
does.
Side and then comes at you with left and right punches, and you have to yeah.
Okay. Now can you?
You can gut punch that and knock him
There
out.
you go. Yeah,
Yep.
That's what I was wondering. I couldn't remember if I'd done that or not. I thought I did, but I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yep, you can gut punch that fucker. And
did you remember that? Did you remember any of these? Obviously, a couple of them are.
Most of them. Honestly, I've played the shit out of this game.
Yeah.
And not the shit. I mean, again, as a kid, it's very tricky. You get to a point when you're a kid, and you give up once you start getting to certain people. So, I would say the first maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 8 or 9. The first 9 fighters, I'll say, I've played a shitload of times. And then when you start getting to some of the later fighters is where I have less experience fighting those guys. But
that's the thing. That's what's interesting about reviewing this game is it's kind of like riding a bicycle. When you're a kid and you play this game so much that you start remembering these strategies, you remember the tells, you remember the counters, you kind of tend to not forget most of them, or at least, in my case, and I'm assuming yours as well. You kind of still remember the old habits, the old patterns. And, I wonder what it would be like for somebody who's never played the game before to pick up and try it now. I wonder if they would have, obviously they'd have a different experience, but I wonder if they would like it more or less.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I couldn't see anybody who really likes video games not liking it, especially if they appreciate retro video games. I mean, obviously, you know what you're getting yourself into when you go back and play old NES games, which is actually quite popular these days amongst hardcore gamers.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
I couldn't see anybody particularly hating the game. It's a great game. I mean, I don't know. But you beat Piston Honda, you knock him out, and you are the minor circuit champion, and you move on to the major circuit.
Well, before you do, though, you get a little cutscene celebrating your victory.
Dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun, dun.
Speaking of blatantly racist, you can find a really racist video of that on YouTube.
Well, what happens? Well, let's set the scene. What actually happens when you win your championship is your trainer, who is black, Little Mac, your fighter, happens to be white. So when you go through this little cutscene, they show your trainer, Doc Lewis, riding ahead of you on a bicycle as you chase behind him, jogging, kind of Rocky-like, in a needlessly hot pink jumpsuit. And you kind of run behind him as he just kind of sits his fat ass on the bicycle and just leisurely rides along the the New York City skyline, which is actually really nice looking for a Nintendo game. That actually really looked good.
And then you're rewarded with a code to get yourself that further.
It's like a stopgap.
Broken up with codes. There's a little cutscene like that, and then you don't have to go through you can pick up where you left off when you hit each milestone in the game.
Now, I don't. It's going to be difficult to say this is a white guy. We might have to cut this later. But there's a video, probably not the one you're talking about, because I've seen a couple of particularly racist ones about that cutscene we just described. But there's one that I've seen that's actually set to music, and it's actually kind of catchy. It's called "Nigga Stole My Bike."
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, is it really? Right. Oh, okay. Nigga stole my bike.
Stole my bike.
What makes it funny to what makes it funny to me is not the. I mean, granted, I'm not politically correct. I do find racial humor funny, whether it's against whites, blacks, whatever. I don't as long as it's not like mean spirited. I usually chuckle at it because whatever. But this particular song, like if you couldn't tell from our description just now, it's actually like set to the tune of the cutscene itself. So it's like a stupid little 8-bit tune set to like, again, just the line "nigga stole my bike" over and over and over. And I get a kick out of it. I think it's funny. I don't know. I like it. I think it's a good time.
Funny.
It's goofy.
Whatever. You're never gonna squash racism until we can all laugh at each other.
That's a good start.
And it's really true. You gotta weed out the blatant disregard and hate for just a good jab and chuckle at each other's culture and just whatever.
That's a good way to put it.
It's funny. It's a funny joke, and I don't think it was meant to hold anybody down or make anyone feel inferior. And you know what? Whatever. Everybody, it's subjective. Comedy's subjective. But
that's a good point.
So there you go.
There's your cutscene.
You've beat the minor circuit. You go to the major circuit, and there is you fight Don Flamenco.
Ah, yeah, Don Flamenco. Yeah, he's the
Spanish flamenco dancer who looks like Adam fucking Sandler.
Oh, he does. I never thought of that. I thought he looked like Gary Shandling.
A little bit. I never thought of that. Yeah. I think he looks like if there's a Punch-Out movie, Adam Sandler should play Don Flamenco.
Yeah, very good. I always like Don Flamenco. He does his silly little dance. He's got the rose in his mouth. He's again as Spanish can be.
To me, if you know a couple of tricks to beat him, is the easiest person to beat in the game.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, he's a one-hit knockout, right? Like when you get him into it, he'll do his punch, he'll telegraph, he'll like raise his hand really high, to hit you. If you know to dodge and counter at the right time.
Well, here's the thing: if you choose not to dodge and you fucking gut punch him when he goes to do that punch, you can hit him, you can knock him out of his swing and get a star, and you can just do that over and over again.
So there's two different ways to counter him.
You won't get the definite knockout like before, but you literally don't have to like dodge anything. You can literally just punch him basically out of everything he's trying to do, except for his quick jab thing. When he's going to do like his roundhouse or whatever, you can punch him in the gut like every fucking time and get a star.
Ah, okay. I don't know if as a kid I probably knew that, but now playing as an adult, my memory is, he was one of the easiest ones to remember his counter because once you get him into
he just keeps trying to do it. Like he doesn't like block you and eventually stop and try to change up his pattern. Like he literally keeps attempting it, and you can keep doing it until you knock him down.
So now, are you talking about when he goes to do the big power move that sets up his, where he lifts his arm really high for that second just before? Okay, so you gut punch him then, and he'll just keep doing it every time you gut punch him. He'll raise his arm again to do it again.
Exactly.
Ah, okay, yeah. Then again, I probably knew that as a kid at some point, but I had completely forgotten about that. I didn't know that he could be beaten that way. That's interesting.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Either way, pretty much when he goes down, that's it. He's like a one-hit KO. The other alternative, the more, I guess I would argue more famous method is, he raises his hand to do the big, sweeping hook or whatever he does. You dodge it, and then you just left, right. You just jab. Yeah. You just,
exactly.
Yeah. And then once you knock him down, that's it. Mario stalls. Mario tries to, throw the fight and let him get back up, but he never does. Yeah.
One thing he will do though, if you do the way you're talking about, sometimes he will block you a bunch of times until you run out of stamina, and it makes it very, you have to wait until your hearts build back up. That's kind of his little pattern, is he tries to wear you out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I noticed that. He's one of the characters you fight a second time, and I noticed that in particular the second time you fight him. Yeah. Yep, Don Flamenco, always one of the easier, more memorable characters.
So you beat Don Flamenco, and then you move on to probably the second easiest fucking character in the game once you figure out his little pattern, which is not too hard to figure out, but King Hippo, which is a big fat bastard.
From the, I don't know enough about geography to know whether this is real. I'm assuming it's not. The Hippo Islands.
It is from the Hippo Islands.
I don't know enough about Samoa, Polynesia. Maybe there is a Hippo Island.
Yeah.
He's just a big old fun-loving fat,
he's related
just islander.
To The Rock in Sika.
He probably is. Every person of any island, in the Pacific is somehow related to The Rock or Yokozuna. Yeah. Oh man, King Hippo. I've mentioned this to you before, and I don't remember if you remember it. Either way, I want to bring it back up to the podcast. When we were probably, I want to say, 12, 13, we drew You were at my house. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I think we were 10 or 12 years old, and you were at my house for a birthday. It was my birthday, and you were over at my house, and you drew a little Punch-Out comic. Like, we were so into Punch-Out at the time that you drew a little comic. It was like a one-page thing.
Nice.
And
Do you still have this?
Somewhere I do. Yes, I do. I'd have to, I have no idea where it is. Like, it's one of those things where I put it somewhere safe that was so safe that it's apparently safe from even my memory of where I put it. Sure. But if I ever find it, I will scan it and send a picture of it to you because it's, no offense. We were young. It's very crude.
Oh, I still draw crudely. It's my style.
Well, you sent me those Roger Rabbit, Howard just sent me a Roger Rabbit, drawing, a Roger Rabbit and Baby Herman, drawing that he'd made when he was probably, 87, you said. So yeah, we would have been 9 or 10. And, for that age, man, I don't know. I don't think that those Roger Rabbit, drawings were all that bad.
No,
I didn't.
I mean, yeah, for the age I was, that's fine. The thing is I never got any better. So if I drew those today, I would still look just as crude.
With the same malformed Baby Herman foot you were talking about?
I peaked at like 8 years old.
Oh, I want to find the Punch-Out comic for you then because it's great. It's just like the story of Little Mac, determined little rugged Little Mac, going to fight. And I remember you got to King Hippo, and I can't remember what the gimmick was, but you made like some funny joke about King Hippo being fat, and Little Mac took him down. And I don't know. That's why I'm reminded of it now is because the King Hippo bit. But it was funny. It was a good time. Yeah, King Hippo. Yeah, he's basically he same kind of thing as Don Flamenco. He raises his hand to do kind of like an overhead crushing blow, and you pop him in the mouth, and when you do, he drops his drawers.
He doesn't always open his mouth, so like.
Oh, he doesn't. That's right.
That's the pattern for him. If you try to punch him, you'll never score a punch.
That's true.
Until he opens his mouth. So once he opens his mouth, you have to hit him in his mouth, and then start hitting him in the big fat belly.
Yeah, because he's got a bandage strategically placed over his belly button to telegraph that you're supposed to hit him there. Yeah,
but then every time you hit him in his belly, his boxers fall down, and he goes to pull them up, and then you keep hitting him in the belly, and they keep falling down. So it's just a vicious circle. So you go through that a couple times, and once you finally knock him over, he's just too fat to get back up. You knock him down once, and he's done.
He falls back into the ropes, the only character in the game to do so, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, in the arcade, there was a guy named Bear Hugger, and he kind of did the same thing. Actually, he's on Super Punch-Out, too. And
he's got overalls, doesn't he? Okay.
Pretty similar, so, he kind of fell back into the ropes, too. But, yeah, and on this version of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, he is the only one.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, King Hippo was always one of the more memorable characters. Nintendo went and slipped, somebody, I don't know if it was Nintendo or whose harebrained idea this was, but they stuck him in the Captain N cartoon. Do you remember that? Exactly. King Hippo was one of the adversaries,
Why? King Hippo?
It was Mother Brain, King Hippo, and the Eggplant Wizard from Kid Icarus. Tertiary-ass characters from like famous games that have nothing to do with one another, yes.
I have to chalk that up probably to those fucking aspiring writers who are just like, God damn it. Why the fuck do I have to be the Nintendo? Mother Brain? Okay, whatever the fuck. This fat guy makes me chuckle.
That and he was green. I think he was green with like purple nipples or green nipples. I think they changed them colors. Now that I think about it,
they had like Mega Man, and they made Mega Man green.
Oh, Mega Man was green. That's right. God, what the? Oh, that's gonna bug me now. What color was King Hippo?
I don't. Yeah.
They made Simon Belmont like a fucking like a vein fucking. They gave him like aviator goggles or some shit.
Like a dumbass,
they did.
A slapsticky like vein, like he talked like fucking Thurston Howell III from Gilligan's Island. He was just like stupid.
They gave him a bomber jacket. Fucking Mega Man was like an old man. He had like a gravelly voice. Everything he said was prefixed by Mega. He was like, "Oh man, we're in mega trouble." Fucking Kid Icarus. Everything he said had the suffix of Icus. So he was like, "Oh man, we're in trouble, Icus." Like, why did I watch this? I was a retarded kid.
We watched it like religiously.
Oh, it was so horrible.
Yeah.
Oh man, we should have just been playing Punch-Out instead.
Exactly.
Oh goodness, who's next on the?
You guys have never seen the Super Nintendo Super Show or whatever it's called?
The Captain N thing or the other? Because they had
Captain
that too.
If you've never seen Captain N, just watch the goddamn fucking theme song for it. Go on YouTube and check it.
Where Kevin gets sucked into his TV into video game land. They might even just flat out called it Nintendo Land. I don't even remember. Bad times.
But back to Punch Out. You knock King Hippo's fat ass into the ropes. He can't get up because he's too fat. And then you end up being fighting the Great Tiger, isn't it?
Oh, I don't have the list in front of me. I think you're right. I think it is the Great Tiger. I tend to forget about him, and I don't know why.
Yeah, Great Tiger. Well, to me, he was the first one that always
first
made
tricky
me
one.
nervous. Yeah, the first really tricky one.
He was
blatantly racist from India.
Yeah, he's an Indian mystic. Yeah,
exactly.
He can teleport and shit.
Exactly. He looks like a Sikh.
He does.
Yeah, he's got that head turban on with a little jewel in it. If for some reason he hates fur or hates animals, he has like a dead tiger draped over his ropes.
Do you say that because there's commentary between the rounds to where he alludes to that, or is it just because of the visual of seeing the...
Exactly. If you look at his little picture before the fight, like he literally has a tiger like fur draped over the ropes with like the head still attached, just like...
Oh, that's right. I remember that image. Yeah, okay, you're right.
So he's a tiger poacher. You can thank him for the scarce Indian tigers.
Specifically.
But basically, I don't know, he's not super tricky. He has a little thing when you go to fight him. There's a little jewel in his little head turban, and once you see his jewel kind of flash, you know he's going to come at you with a punch, so you know to dodge. And then, you got to go through that a little bit, and then he gets a little easier to fight. He throws some easy haymakers you can dodge and punch, but then he goes into, once you start thinking you're owning him, he goes into super fucking tricky magic mode. Do you want to explain what that is?
Yeah, super tricky magic mode. Yeah, basically he just kind of like hurricanes around the ring. He'll back up away from you and do sort of like a little like shimmy to where he teleports. He disappears with like a little like musical tune.
In video games, anyone from India can fucking teleport. Dalsin can do it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So.
Yeah, he will kind of circle around the ring. He'll spin around the ring so fast that he sort of like creates, like After Effect doubles of himself, and that's to disorient you. And every now and then, as he spins, he will stop rhythmically to punch you, like as he's doing the spin around the ring. And if you block every punch, I think there's like 4 or 5 of them. He apparently gets so, I guess, dizzy from all the spinning around that he kind of gets like wobbly. His face gets all messed up, and that's when you take the opportunity to smack him.
And when you smack him when he's got like crazy face, you lay him the fuck out.
There you go.
Yep.
Knock him the fuck out.
Yep. It's particularly satisfying if you have a star saved up to super punch.
Oh, yeah.
That's always fun.
It is, yeah. That's the haymaker in the game is always effective. I shouldn't say always, but it's usually effective just because it does more damage than normal moves. But it's also the key to several, opportunity moments in the game to where you get like a one-hit knockout.
You can at least get a few licks in.
Yeah, very satisfying. Yeah, because when Mac goes to do this, you get like a little, like almost like a power-up sound effect. Mac kind of, like crouches down and just like jumps up and he's half the size of the characters he's fighting. I don't know if that's supposed to be perspective or actual, physical structure, but he will jump up and just like swing haymaker the fucker in the face and knock them flying back. And it is really satisfying, really good, like feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times.
A little later in the series, people catch you off guard because basically that's kind of your big super punch, and you've earned it, and you got to use it. But some more skilled fighters later in the game can actually dodge that super punch.
That would be tricky.
Yeah.
Are you referring to Super Punch Out, which I only played once and don't remember, or a later? On this one, really?
You get further in this, and I believe like the second bald bull can dodge him, and
oh wow, okay, that didn't happen to me. That's interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of second bald bull, you fight first bald bull next. He's the mid round or the mid range boxing league.
Oh yeah, I don't know if if the other one was the minor, I guess he'd be the major.
Yeah,
I guess the major circuit. Yeah. As a kid, he was never, I don't want to say he was never, I'm sure as a kid he was tricky for a while. What I remember is just he was intimidating. He was strong, his character sprite's big, just a meaty fucking mean looking motherfucker. He's a big Turk, yeah.
Probably from Istanbul.
Probably, yeah. Formerly Constantinople.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, Bald Bull. Bald Bull is one of those examples of how, if you remember the game well enough to, whatever you played it as a kid, you remember the patterns, you can breeze through at least the first half of the game, because Bald Bull is like really, imposing unless you know his secret, and once you do, he's a pushover.
When I was a kid, we always referred to him as Bald Butt.
Bald Butt.
Yep. I wonder how many everybody I've ever talked to has. So is that just something that like immediately like the mentality of a young kid? Like,
I was going to say yeah, it's because
little fucker is just like, yeah, bald butt. Yeah.
And I bet every single one of us thought we were fucking geniuses for coming up with it.
I wonder how many people across the fucking states, some guy in like Kankakee is just like,
oh, I wouldn't doubt that's true. Yeah, Bald Bull. There's really, he'll punch at you with the Dusty Rhodes spinning hands jab.
Yep.
He changes up his pattern a little bit. I don't want to say that he's tricky, but he has like a couple different patterns that he engages in. One of which is, my understanding is I think this happens at least like every round at the 2-minute mark. I never paid attention, but I think I've heard that every 2 minutes in each round, he will back up. He'll back up to the far, far end of the ring. And that's one thing that's interesting to point out about this game is that, Nintendo structure, the ring is at a fixed angle. You can't move about the ring. Your character is always in the position he's in. And the same goes for the fighters, except for, the ones who teleport and shit. Right. But basically, yeah, you're always face to face. You don't clinch. You don't move around the ring. You don't circle each other. You're always just looking at each other at the same spot in the ring. Bald Bull will back up all the way to the farther end of the ring, like up against the ropes. And he will then, kind of like, bounce a couple times. Yeah, then he will do his bull charge, which I wasn't hit by it this time, but as a kid, if I recall correctly, is it a one-hit knockout?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, knockout, but knock down.
Yeah, he will blast you uppercut and just knock you the fuck down.
Ah, okay. All right. So obviously you want to avoid that.
Right. You can either dodge that, you can sidestep and dodge it, anticipate it, or if a well-timed gut punch will knock him down. And it's actually fun because it stops his bull charge in his tracks, and like it's almost like he hits a brick wall and his whole body comes up and he makes a face and he kind of like slinks back and tumbles to the ground. And it's quite amusing actually.
It's very I was just going to say, very fulfilling. Yeah, when you hit him, he like recoils as somebody would when they come flying at you and you hit him in the fucking solar plexus. He recoils back with a look on his face like, oh, that's not good. And as you said, he crumbles. I'd forgotten that you can actually, I don't know why I would have forgotten this, but you can dodge, I guess, any move in the game if you're fast enough, but I never even thought to try that. If you dodge, does he just like try to do it again? Does he try to charge you a second time?
Sometimes he does, actually. It's one of those things where, like, if you, as a kid, I didn't face it this time because I knew all the tricks and I was able to, beat him very easily in the first round, but as a kid, sometimes you're like eagerly like, oh my God, it's coming. I hope I can dodge it. And maybe you didn't, know about the gut punch, or sometimes even as a kid, you were less, I guess, sure of yourself at doing the gut punch. You had to be perfectly timed in order to do it, and sometimes you'd miss and get knocked out. So sometimes you would just opt to, I'm just gonna fucking dodge it. Well, sometimes he'll just keep coming at you till either he hits you or you do the gut punch.
Oh, wow, okay.
It gets to that point. He'll like back up. He won't back up as far either. He'll back up like 3 steps rather than like 6 steps, and he'll come at you faster and keep trying that knockout punch. So. Oh,
that'd be pretty tricky. I could see that throwing you off.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you knock Bald Butt the fuck out, 3 times, or actually, I think he's one of the few they let you actually knock out once in a while if you hit him right or at the right time. But then you move on to the world circuit.
That's when I start getting a little bit hazy. Is that not where you start fighting some of these same characters from before?
That is where Piston Honda decides he's going to fight you. And basically, he does a little wiggling uppercut thing that he learns basically since the last time. He kind of goes, he like ducks down and does one back and forth uppercuts, and so.
I had a little bit of trouble with him, actually. He knocked me. Yeah, I blanked. I'd forgotten. I remember that I had to fight him a second time. I had forgotten what his strategy was the second time, so I didn't know what to look for. Yeah, I kind of had to, get a little bit beaten up before I could really realize that, he kind of, the whole Bald Bull, hit him in the stomach thing again.
Sure.
At least that's what worked for me.
Yeah. Yep. And you can actually do it doesn't have to be a body blow. You can actually jab him too and knock him down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Either works. I prefer to do the body blow because it's just one less thing I have to fuck up. I don't have to like push any other buttons. But basically, fighting Piston Honda is pretty.
I'm sorry, push any. When you have 2, that's a lot to work with.
Well, you know what I mean. You have to hold up.
I do. You have to hold up. Now you're talking 3.
Exactly.
No, I got you.
It's just less to worry about, I suppose.
Sure.
But So I don't know. He's not too. Like I said, they add a couple moves to his repertoire, which means you loosely have to relearn him. Which obviously you've already learned his style the first time through, and then you pick up on his next couple of moves.
Yeah. Most of what he had the first time carries through. He just adds a couple extra things to it.
And that brings us to the first character that actually got tricky for me. I actually lost to this character twice before I beat him. And as a kid, this was one of my, this was kind of a stopping point for me for a while as a kid. Soda Popinski.
I was going to ask, I thought it might have been Soda Pop. I don't remember the order, but as soon as you started saying the trickiness, I thought, I wonder if he's talking about Soda Pop. Yeah, he gave me a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
In the arcade game, his name was fucking Ivan Drunsky. Drunksky. I swear to Christ. Ivan Drunksky. Yeah. How much for, when you, as a kid, I never thought anything of it, always drinking pop. But if you look at the, I'm sorry, vodka. You're right. Vodka drunks. I was actually less racist than they were. There you go. Vodka Drunksky.
It's not even Drunsky, it's Vodka Drunkensky.
Drunkensky?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Exactly.
Oh my God. That's 2 levels more racist than I even gave them credit for. Wow. Drunken.
You know what? It was 1985, and those fucking Soviets were gonna fucking bomb us into a fucking nuclear winter. So
the day when that's all we had to worry about. Yeah, fuck it. Oh my God, it's just amazing to me. It's amazing to me that they were that blatant, and the fact that as a kid we wouldn't have thought anything of it unless we were a little bit more sophisticated. We knew about, I guess Russia and how much they like to drink apparently. But when you see the in between rounds, he's always guzzling a bottle. And what's funny is, as an adult now, I can clearly tell it's a bottle of alcohol, but they, like, some jobber wrote on the little sprite of the bottle that he's drinking out of in between rounds, some idiot wrote pop on the fucking bottle. They changed no colors, they changed no fucking imagery, they just, we better change that, pop. There, we wrote pop on it. He's Soda Popinski now. That's ridiculous. Oh my God. Yeah, there you go.
You will be punched drunk. And basically, you can beat him with basic, stick and move tactics. It's not like.
Well, that's what's interesting is he doesn't, he's not really a pattern character. That really fucking threw me off. He doesn't really have and
he throws like these massive uppercuts that are strangely timed and kind of hard to dodge around. And he has just like odd timing. You think you have his timing down, and then he'll throw one quicker than he did the last time, and then. And he also has very quick hooks, and he just kind of has this triple jab thing too. It's all sporadic. It's all sporadic and oddly timed, which is, and they're very powerful. So that's really what kind of fucks you up.
Mm-hmm. He fucked me up. Like you, I had a pretty good amount of trouble with him. I actually lost to him probably at least 4 or 5 times.
Oh wow!
Actually,
I did 3 times. I lost. Well, I didn't. I fought him 3 times before I beat him.
Okay.
I beat him on the 3rd time, but yeah, he was the first one that gave me some trouble. And as a kid, I mean, he was a stopping point. But there was times I would just, I'm not beating Soda Popinski today.
Now, there's actually, kind of even a practical reason for that. When the game gives you the cutscenes and you win your championships and everything, like you said earlier, you get a password. If I recall correctly, if you lose, I could be wrong. I don't remember, even though I just lost to him 5 times. There are a lot of fighters in this game to where when you lose to them, you don't just get a rematch with them over and over and keep getting another shot. There are some fighters to where if you lose to them, you fall back like 2 or 3 other guys. You have to work your way back up again. Yeah, and again, I can't remember if Soda's one of them. I'm going to assume he is. I guess either way, the point I'm going with this is when I was a kid, Soda Popinski, very much like you, he was a character I never really saw that often, and when I did, he always meant he was tense.
And that's what fucks you up too, because they send you back 3 or 4 guys sometimes, and that just means that you're not absorbing his patterns or you're not getting used to his fighting style, because now I've got to fight people I've already fought, which it's not too hard. I've already fought these guys. I know how to beat them, but by the time you fight him again, it's not like you're ready for his moveset. You don't have enough time to as you said, to absorb what he's going to throw at you, because you lose within like a minute or 2, and then you can't fight him again. You can't get used to being patterned by what he's going to throw at you. And all this being said, I mean, he's not astronomically hard. Once you kind of figure out how to beat him, it's all right. I mean,
he's tricky though. He's tricky.
Yeah, he is tricky. Yeah. Then you fight the next Bald Bull.
Was it the next Bald? I was going to say, Bald Bull, I think. Yeah, Bald Butt.
The only difference really between Bald Butt 2 and Bald Butt 1 is he can have an empty health meter and you can't drop him unless you either...
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
You either got to uppercut him right with a super punch, or you got to fucking do his hit him with his bull charge. You hit him in the gut.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, because I got him with the bull charge the second time around, I had no problem with Bald Butt at all. After Soda Pop, it was like, oh, good, I get to kill this guy and move on, which I did. I had forgotten that if you don't do that successfully, you're right. He fucking cheats.
How like confounding and unfair that was.
Because it is. He lost his energy, but he's still fighting. That ain't right.
Yeah.
Fucking you got Mario over here on the dollar, fucking throwing the fights. You got this guy over here who's like using steroids, clearly not going down when his energy's up. I mean, what kind of the game stacked against you? It's not fair.
And like anything else Adam Sandler was in, here's his sequel. You have to fight Dominic again after him. Basically, it's pretty.
Does he? I'm sure he has something different. I know that one change is
he kind of has faster versions of Glass Joe's jab.
Really?
They're kind of a little more effective. He doesn't always do his uppercut when he taunts Mac this time too. He kind of entices you, and then this is the one that really kind of like draws your stamina away because you keep waiting for him to do something, and you keep like taking pot shots.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I remember that now. You're right.
So, but again,
just kind of a wear down.
To me, exactly. A little frustrating, a little harder, but not too hard. Not like getting hung up on Soda Popinski.
Yeah, just kind of a stopgap, just kind of like an intermediary, just challenge between some of the bigger guys.
Yeah. And then there comes the guy as a kid, I believe, was as far as I would ever get.
Are we talking about Mr. Sandman? Is that where we're at already? Mr. Sandman, I got to be honest, folks. I tried to finish the game. I won't blame it on my busy week, although I have been like particularly busy. I had time to play Punch-Out, and I gave it my best. Mr. Sandman fucked me up just like he did when I was a kid. I used to use passwords to get past him. I'm sure there were a couple times when I got past him and fought Super Macho Man and eventually got to Tyson and never beat him. To this day, never beat him. I gave it an honest, straightforward shot. Didn't try to use any cheats or anything. I gave it my best, and I couldn't do it. Mr. Sandman fucked me up. His timing just fucked me up. Mr. Sandman was the nightmare to me that he was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it.
That's as far as you got this time around?
I couldn't. I gave it an honest try. Mr. Sandman just fucked me up.
Wow.
Two things, actually. Just the tension, the anxiety of, I would always like anticipate blows before they came because he's got like a series of uppercuts, devastating uppercuts. Yeah. And if you fuck those up, you're down. So I would always like wind up like trying to dodge like early, and I'd like dodge away, and then
you would have 3 uppercuts in a row that were like
that's what I'm referring
stronger,
to.
And then it's over.
Yeah. The other thing is I was playing this on an emulator, and I don't know if it's just me or what. I looked it up, and apparently other people had this trouble too. There's a little bit of a subtle timing difference on the emulator. The controls are just not quite as sensitive and crisp as when you're playing on the actual original Nintendo. So again, I'm gonna come right out and say it. I mean, it was my lack of skill against Mr. Sandman, and a lot of that is the fact that I never knew how to beat him as a kid because I hardly ever got to him.
Well, the key to beating him is getting a face punch, and then you have to gut punch the shit out of him.
How do you manage to get a face punch? Like, is there a certain time? How does he become vulnerable to that?
You dodge, and then you can only get one punch in, and then instead of following up with a second face punch, you move to the gut. And when you hit him in the gut, his face turns into a fucking ghoul.
Oh, I do remember that.
I feel terrible, and I shouldn't fucking say this, but god damn it, he makes a face, and he looks. He fucking does, man.
Oh, we have to bleep that last name. That's just there's such a history to that name. I got you. The fans at home won't know it, but that's you're so right.
Yeah,
I never thought of that, but you're so
terrible.
right.
It's terrible. It's just like, oh, brother. It's amusing every time. So, I don't know. But
I'm still stuck on that. It's funny. Basically, what Howard he basically compared the look of this character's sprite when he's being punched to a kid that was, this poor kid was always made fun of for being particularly ugly when we were growing up. So yeah, so it's just, I get what he's saying. That's hilarious. Oh man.
Yeah, have to stay on him, man. I had to fight Sandman several times. I did beat Sandman, and
I at least wanted to hear that you lost to him, so I didn't know that I was too pathetic.
No, he was. If Soda Popinski held me up for a second, I had to fight him 3 times. Sandman, I did not beat him the first night I started playing the game. I went to bed and I came back and I beat him the next day. I took a break at Sandman. He fucked me up. And he always did as a kid. I don't know that I ever got any further than him as a kid.
See, that's just it. That's part of the problem. Again, it's not just my lack of skill, against Sandman right now as an adult, though that is it. Again, I was tense. I was dodging when I shouldn't have been. I just fucked up. In addition to that, though, I have to take some credit. It's also the fact that I wasn't really prepared to know what to expect from him because as a kid, I never got to know his pattern because he always beat me. And he's one where I think if he beats you, you do fall back like three guys.
Yeah, he sends you back.
Yeah.
I want to say to Don Flamenco or maybe,
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, him or yeah. I was gonna say him or King Hippo, but yeah, it would have to be probably Don Flamenco. Yeah. He's tough. I got as a kid, I was always kind of scared of, not fearful of him, but it was always like, oh man, I got to fight Mr. Sandman. That's the end of my game.
Oh, fucking A, man, Mr. Sandman. Yeah, he's the next one. And honestly, he's once they took Mike Tyson out of the game, he was the last guy.
Wasn't he? Yeah.
He's a worthy last guy. He's hard, man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
He has this super punch and he has two different versions of it. It's like a windmill punch or like, I don't know what they call it. What do they call it? Is there a name for it? Do you know?
Oh, I'd have to know exactly which punch you're describing that he does. It doesn't matter.
His big, super fucking haymaker that he throws. And it's like, there's one that he just it's really fast, and it's like he whips it really fast, and if you don't dodge it right away, it will knock you down and out fast. So, and then he does one where literally he does it over and over and over again, and there's no rhyme or reason to how many times he'll do it. Sometimes he'll do it 3 times, sometimes he'll do it 7 times, and you've got to dodge it every fucking time. And it's not too hard because you can just keep dodging it, and eventually, once he's through, whether he does it 1 or 5, 7, 8 times, he'll just stay with his arm for a while. So it does give you a second.
He'll just stay posed, frozen from the punch.
It does give you a second to realize, okay, he's done now, and I can start hitting him. And then it does give you a minute, you can unload onto his face a bunch of times in a row.
Okay. That did not happen to me. I didn't have that opportunity.
I figured out a pattern with him. He does 2 things. He does one little slow, body kind of jab, and it's kind of awkwardly timed, but you can dodge it and hit him in the face a couple times. But what you can do, instead of hitting him in the face a bunch of times, is you can hit him in the face once, and if you wait a couple seconds right before he gathers himself, if you gut punch him, you'll score a star.
Oh, okay.
And then he does a bigger uppercut, which again you can move, and then you can hit him in the face a bunch of times. But I've noticed what I caught on with after a while was I could still hit him in the face a bunch of times, but I would, instead of doing it a bunch of times quickly, I would, instead of just rapidly punching him, I'd hit him 4, 5, 6 times very slow. I'd be like, poof, poof.
Oh, yeah, okay,
and then if you had the right timing, the very last time you hit him, you could get it just when he was about to start setting back up, and you would score a star on him. So I would build up stars on him, and then when he would try his crazy super punches, then I would unleash 3 stars in a row and knock him down. And I was able to beat Super Macho Man faster than I was able to beat Mr. Sandman.
See, you raised 2 interesting points. After I lost to Sandman, and I started to realize that I probably wouldn't have the time to try and go back through him again, I looked up online how does one beat this guy? Because apparently I obviously didn't know how to do it. And one of the things that I learned was that apparently this may be common knowledge to a lot of people. It was not to me, even growing up. This is just not anything that I was aware of. But apparently, if you don't try and punch everybody fast, if you do kind of slowly pace out your punches and, give yourself a little extra time that you might not instinctively do, I guess that does actually work very effectively against the computer, not just against Mr. Sandman, but I guess against a bunch of the opponents.
Against everybody?
Supposedly. At least more than Sandman. I know that much. I don't know about everybody.
Just because Mr. Sandman did fuck me up a few times, but it was kind of something I noticed. I think I was kind of upset with myself that I didn't come at him as fast as I wanted to. I maybe skipped a beat, and then I noticed what happened. And then I noticed it happened again, and I was like, well, shit, can I just do that? And then, I kind of figured out that I could just do that.
Okay. So, yeah. That, and also the fact that you said that, another thing I wanted to mention is you said that you beat, the next character, Super Macho Man, with less trouble. That's another thing that I learned while reading about Mr. Sandman and the game in general, is that a lot of people have said that, he's harder than some people said he was harder than Tyson. I guess, Mr. Sandman is really kind of the number 2 guy in this game.
For sure.
He felt like it to me.
I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. Man, he was a bitch. He was tough.
So then, the Mr. Super Macho Man is the world circuit champion.
As a kid, I really dug Super Macho Man. If I ever did get to him myself, which I wouldn't deny that I may have, I don't remember ever doing it myself. I think I like played the game with somebody else and we took turns or whatever. Sure. I have played against Super Macho Man. I don't remember. I mean, I didn't play him again, this last, over the course of this podcast. So I don't know what he does. I have no idea. You're going to have to tell me all about his patterns, all about what he does. What I remember though is that I always dug the guy because he was rare. I never fucking got to see him because I never got to beat Mr. Sandman. Oh, see, I woun't even know. See, then that's perfect. That leads into what else I was going to say is that he always, of course, reminded me of Randy Savage, the Macho Man of WWF. Yeah. There you go. So yeah, tell me all about him because I didn't get to see him.
Well, that's just it. I mean, he's kind of like an old like beach bum, kind of like he's like a machismo man. What country is he from? He's got like a bad tan and he's just got he's kind of balding but has long hair. He's just kind of a douche. He
seems like he'd be an American then. Actually, he seems like he'd be from the U.S.
Yeah, he's from Hollywood.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, doesn't he? I remember this. Doesn't he like make his pecs jiggle? Doesn't he?
Exactly. He wiggles his titties, and then right before the fight, they like gyrate really fast. It's actually really amusing.
I remember that now. I don't remember where I could have seen that, but I remember witnessing that. I remember because my dad thought it was the funniest thing. Like, what the fuck? Oh, that's great.
So
awesome.
Once you become the world champion, you get to fight the dream fight.
Well, wait. Before we do that, though, tell me more. Like, how did you defeat Super Macho Man? What was he like? Like, how did you?
Like I told you, by slowly staggering out my attack.
Oh, that's it. That's really all you had to do.
He honestly, I was able to TKO. When I beat him in the first round. I TKO'd him in the first round.
Oh no shit. Yeah. Oh, so he was. So this wasn't a matter of you just like for me to tell me the details.
I didn't do it like the first time. Like I struggled with him. I had to fight him several times. I just. He wasn't nearly as hard as Sandman, and
What are his big attacks? What is his like? Does he have a really strong like combo, or does he uppercut you really hard?
Windmill. I told you he has those two different super attacks.
Oh, that whole time I thought you were still talking about Sandman.
No,
all right, I'm sorry.
No, he comes at you with a huge haymaker. That's like he kind of pauses for a second, and you know it's coming, and you're like, oh shit. And then it's kind of scary. You're kind of waiting for it, and sometimes he rips you with it, and it lays you out no matter how much energy you have. And then there's one, every time you knock him down, he gets back up, he comes at you, and then he takes like a big step back, and then you can anticipate this one better, but that's when he comes at you like, anywhere between 3 and 7 times.
Okay, all right. Yeah, now it's making sense. Okay. See, when you were saying that again, I was describing that to Mr. Sandman, and I couldn't mentally visualize that, but I have vague enough memories of Macho Man to remember exactly what you're talking about. I think I know what you mean now.
And then he has one little thing where he kind of goes, he doesn't do it very often, but every now and then he'll do like this back and forth where he ducks down really low and uppercuts, like to the left and to the right, kind of like how Sandman does.
Okay.
He kind of does that every now and then, but he wasn't super tricky for me. So,
okay.
And that's pretty much all there is to know about him, honestly. He's hard, but he wasn't as, I would agree with the fact that Sandman is harder than him.
That's I don't know. That's really kind of cool in a way. I don't know. Just I never saw him very often as a kid, so it's sort of neat to think that there was a little bit of a break between the two hardest characters in the game.
Sure.
All right.
And that brings you to the man on the cover, the Mike Tyson himself from the Catskill, New York, USA.
There you go.
Ah, fucking A, man. Never, ever, ever beat him as a kid. I've fought him a lot of times as a kid because you figure out the code to get to him and you go right to him and I've never fucking, I don't think I've ever lasted through the first round as a kid with him. I spoke to you earlier today to make sure we were still going to record the podcast tonight, and at that point I hadn't beaten him. I told you I'm going to try beating him before we do the podcast later.
Tell me the news.
When I had talked to you, I hadn't beaten him yet, and yeah, I fucking finally beat Mike fucking
You
Tyson.
beat him. Oh, yeah. I wish I could say the same for this podcast. Nice.
Mike Tyson the fuck out.
The fuck out. Nice.
Kiss my fucking ass, Tyson. Yeah, I knocked him in the fuck. It's basically, Mike Tyson's fucking hard, man. I'll be honest, though. I don't know that he's less hard, but I don't know that he's any more hard than Mr. Sandman.
See, my understanding based on what I've heard from others, because again, I've never beaten him myself. And to be fair, I never really tried too much as an adult. It's always kind of like an old memory that, oh man, Mike Tyson, I never beat that guy. Maybe one of these days. But having not fought him again as an adult, at least not in a long time, I don't remember, like how he fights. But what I've heard is basically he fights hard, but somewhat predictably. Like he can be patterned, but if you fuck up, he like really messes you up.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, you can figure out a fucking pattern to beat him. But just that's one thing. You can know exactly how to beat him because I figured it out. But I mean, doing it's another thing. He has such weird, awkward time, and then he has just, basically he throws haymakers the whole first minute and a half of the first round. Where if you get hit by anything he throws the first minute and a half of the first round, you will get knocked the fuck down.
That's nice. They really sell the fact that he's Tyson.
Exactly.
I dig it.
And if you dodge it, you only get 2 punches. It lets you score 2 punches, and he gathers himself immediately. And basically, you do that over and over and over again. And then once a minute and a half finally goes by, if you can manage not to get knocked down 3 times, which fucking A, I got knocked down 3 times, probably 15 times in a fucking row. Basically, then he starts throwing these he winks his eye at you to kind of give you the hint that he's going to throw a fucking jab, and it's oddly timed. I mean, yeah, it gives you a heads up, but it takes a minute to get used to all that.
So is it oddly timed between the wink and when he throws the punch?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And it switches to the left and to the right and back and forth, and it's just kind of it's awkward timing to get used to. So, I mean, just getting used to the whole first part of that, and then finally when he starts throwing those things, you're not even expecting it, because it's not like you can keep your eye on the time to see if a minute and a half has gone by.
Right.
You're too busy seeing if he's going to fucking knock you the fuck down. So it's like, getting used to all this shit is one thing. Basically, my strategy for him was to not knock him down the first round. I wanted to get him down to close to 0 energy the first round and make it to the second round, so that when I did come out the second round, I could knock him down right away and leave myself more time to get...
Smart strategy, yeah.
Exactly, to get the technical knockout, which is what I ended up doing. However, it took me forever to fucking figure out that you can't hit him the second round until you let him get your stamina to 0. You have to lose all your hearts before it'll then let you open up to start hitting him.
You mean he'll block everything you throw at him?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. You won't be able to score shit until you've at least once gone to 0 hearts.
Wow. How did you even figure that out?
It fucking figured it out. It happened. It happened so many fucking times where finally it was like, well, I just put 2 and 2 together. It was like, I could never score a fucking punch until I fucking at least get fatigued. So. Then,
what does he do to you when you're fatigued? Does he then unload and then you have to dodge?
Exactly. He doesn't completely unload. He kind of sticks with whatever pattern he's still in at the time. But you just gotta dodge until you're able to, until you're fully colored again and you can throw punches.
Okay.
And, so then it was like, figuring all this shit out took like layers. It was like figuring it out in fucking layers. And then you had to put all those layers together and then hope you could fucking execute it.
That's cool. So he's like the boss battle in the truest sense.
Yeah, really.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember that when I was in California in 2013 to playtest WWE 2K14, I remember that there's a mode in that game called, I think, Beat the Streak or Defeat the Streak, something like that. It involves you either playing as the Undertaker and fighting a bunch of guys, or having to choose a character predetermined by the game and try to fight Undertaker yourself and beat the streak, his WrestleMania streak. And the character Undertaker in that mode is super, super powered up. When you're trying to fight him, he does all kinds of crazy shit. He's got higher damage. He does higher damage to you. He's faster. He cheats. He'll actually whatever. There will be a cutscene to where he disappears and reappears behind you as the Undertaker theatrics usually are. Shit like that. And the reason I bring that up is because I can't remember exactly who at 2K it was who said that, but they were talking to us, as a group as we were playing with this mode, trying to fuck with it and everything. And they said something like, yeah, we specifically wanted to make Undertaker like Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. We wanted to make him that fucking tricky. Yeah, so it's like Tyson is such a legend that fucking 30 years later in a wrestling game, somebody is remembering, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and saying, hey, he's this hard. Yeah.
That was just it. So then it was like, okay, survive all his things, score as many punches as I can, and then get to the point where he's not throwing like the knockout punches anymore, and then get him beat down to the point where I don't knock him out, and then I just kind of dodge his shit until fucking, the bell rings. So then I come
did you, not to interrupt, but did you ever knock him down?
in the first round?
Yeah, well, I guess in any of the rounds, because I know that you said that you preferred to wait for a knockdown. Did it ever wind up coming eventually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. You said you TKO'd him. I'm sorry. I was thinking you got him by decision. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For a while, I would knock him down in the first round all the time, and then I decided I'm never going to have time to TKO him if I just work through all this. I'm going to start. That's when I decided to make the choice. I'm just going to start out the second round with him beaten down.
Sure.
So then that's when I had to figure out, that I couldn't score any punches on him. Then I was spending half the round trying to punch him, and it was like, what the fuck? So then I immediately, then I got to that point where I knew I had to lose my stamina and then work it back. So then as soon as the second bell ring he'd come out, I would just throw punches at him until my stamina was gone. So I would get that out of the way really quick. I'd dodge his shit until I was back up to normal. And then it was just kind of, you'd knock him down right away. He'd get back up. He'd go through all of his bullshit 2 more times. And finally, by the grace of fucking God, about 8 minutes before I called you to do the podcast, I knocked him the fuck out. Technical knockout. So, fucking A, I finally beat Mike Tyson's fucking punches.
Man, again, I wish I could say the same. I really do. That would have been pretty great to be able to say that for the podcast. The both of us finally overcame this childhood dream. But, Mr. Sandman.
You could still go back and do it.
Oh, yeah. Nothing's stopping me from doing it. Just the timing would have been good to do it together.
Sure.
What does he say between rounds?
Oh, he just says, your fingers are so fast, or something like, my punches are stronger than your fingers are fast, or some shit like that.
So he doesn't threaten to eat your children, he doesn't bite your ear, nothing?
I guess he's referring to, he's not even talking shit to Mac, he's talking shit to you directly.
You! That's awesome.
Yeah, he's like, your fingers aren't fast enough to keep up with my strong
Even in a video game, I am a warlord.
Then he's like, I eat your children.
Which is something else he really to which Doc Lewis says, you ain't got no children, Mac. You don't have to worry about that. Don't be scared.
If you don't know what we're referring to, he told, was it Lewis?
Yeah, Lennox Lewis,
Lennox Lewis that he was going to eat his children. And Lennox Lewis replied, I don't have any children.
I don't have any children. Because Mike Tyson, this was in the phase where Mike Tyson was getting a little bit, what's the right term? Mentally unstable? Yeah. Batshit crazy. Yeah. And as much as I love the guy, there have been times where I really couldn't, respect him because he became as you said, just kind of like an insane monster. Lost focus of himself and really was saying some bizarre ass shit. He kind of went really sideways for a few years there, and he was just saying weird shit to people, and that was one of them. That was just a worked up rant. That was just like a pre-fight. Oh, I want to kill him. I think he said that he was going to eat his heart or something. I can't even remember. Yeah. So none of that in the video game. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
How did it feel? I mean, when you finally what happens at the end? Like when you get the decision, is there like a celebratory?
Yeah, exactly. It just some shit to read. I actually should have jotted down what it said. I couldn't. It just kind of congratulates you and you won the ultimate dream fight, kind of a spiel, and yeah. And then it kind of cycles through all the characters that you played as you defeat. Plays the
like it shows their little profile picture or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't have expected much from, an old Nintendo game to actually give you a really flamboyant ending, but, just the fact that they acknowledge it and, sure. That's cool. That's a big achievement.
Yeah, now I wonder what it's like. I wonder if fighting Mr. Dream is the same, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if he's got the exact same, patterns and AI. I would assume maybe that he doesn't. I would think that some of that stuff is tailored to be Tyson's, type of moves, but I guess I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I know Tyson in real life used the uppercut quite a bit. That was kind of his favorite move, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Let me see. I just looked it up. Yeah, due to Mr. Dream being a simple head swap and recolor of Mike Tyson, Mr. Dream fights exactly the same manner as Mike Tyson.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
All right, yeah. A recolor.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know they have Mike Tyson's signature black tights. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm sorry, not tights, trunks.
Yeah.
So used to wrestling.
Exactly. Yeah. He looks just like Tyson.
He does.
Yeah. They did a very good job of making Tyson.
They did. Yeah.
Yep. Well, there you have it, folks. That's Mike Tyson's fucking Punch-Out. Go fucking play this game if you want to play it. It's fantastic, man. It's a good game. For what it is. What do you rate this game?
As always, I do my little preamble to where I talk about, the fact that I have to acknowledge both what the game was as a kid as opposed to, what it is now.
Factored in graphics, gameplay, music, all that stuff, control, the challenge of the game.
Those are all of them are good. All of them are very good. This is an early example of Nintendo, and not just, a licensee making a game for a Nintendo system, but Nintendo themselves, the internal developers, making just a really good, solid game. This is one of the early classics. It's a world famous game. I'm assuming, I think that they're still making sequels to it now. Isn't there a Wii game that came out not too long ago?
I have the Wii game. It's not nearly as fun. It's a little easy. I thought it would be fun. I thought for the Wii, it's kind of gimmicky. You can stand up, you can use the Wiimote and nunchuck and actually punch the punches and actually fight.
Oh, that'd be fun, yeah.
It sounds funner than it is.
That's disappointing. That sucks.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a Wii U one out. I should check, because if there is, it doesn't, just because the Wii one missed the mark doesn't mean the Wii U one didn't improve, so.
Okay, that'd be worth checking out.
Yeah, it'd be worth checking out.
Well, as good as the game is, and I take nothing away from it because it is a really good game, I can't really think of a whole lot about it that I don't like. However, I have to be objective. Playing it now was a different experience, obviously, as an adult than it was as I was as a kid, because the game basically now as an adult was like, let's say 20 minutes of remembering strategies and having not really a whole lot of trouble, and then only in the last quarter, maybe even third of the game, only then being kind of tricked up and having, a lot of challenge. Sure. So really, realistically speaking, the game was really, as an adult, again, very simple. It kind of breezed by, and while it was fun, it really wasn't like much of an effort. And then suddenly it was super tough, and then it was tricky, and I wasn't frustrated. I didn't have a bad time, but it wasn't a meaty experience, I guess is what I'm getting at. It wasn't like a very thorough experience, but what it was good. What it was good. So, basically just to stop rambling, I would say that I would give it probably an 8.
All right. I've always adored this game. Like I said, I've never owned it. I can't think of why, just probably because I was poor. I had to pick and choose.
I don't mean to laugh at that. That's just sad, man.
Well, that's just it. My father passed away when I was 5. My mom raised 2 kids on her own. It's just never, it's not like we had a lot of rich family or anything like that, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. We weren't fucking starving in the streets. I had a roof over my head, and my mom owned our house, and we were, trust me, great.
Well, yeah, you wore it well. I never looked at you as poor.
No,
so.
I was spoiled on Christmas morning. It's not like I was, I wasn't like a Dickensian ragamuffin. Do you have a penny, sir? Well, then how about a smile?
There you go.
It wasn't like that.
You were like that, but not because you were poor. You just did that sometimes.
I wasn't peeking through my neighbor's windows on Thanksgiving.
Single tear in your eye.
Exactly. Yeah, so no, I just didn't have a whole lot of extra money for things like that. Exactly, you know what I mean? I had decent clothes and nice things. I had a Nintendo. It's not like I wasn't starving in the streets by any stretch of the imagination. My mother gave me a wonderful childhood, and she spoiled us on Christmas. And that's the kind of thing. Throughout the year, I didn't get a whole lot because she was always squirreling away shit. So on Christmas morning, when we came downstairs, there was just tons of gifts and things like that.
Makes sense. Sure.
So, she did what she could. And then, great. She spoiled me rotten. Don't get me wrong. When I say I was poor, I didn't have a whole lot of it. To me,
you weren't swimming in goods?
Exactly. I got a $2 a week allowance, and that was if I did my chores. If I was going to the movies or something extra and I needed some money, my mom would lend it to me, but I had to either pay her back or I had to do something extra above and beyond my chores, that kind of stuff.
Well, I think that's probably why you have the work ethic that you do now as an adult.
Sure,
you're very responsible with your money.
Absolutely. And again, I had a lot of friends around me who did, have lots of video games and got them whenever. That game came out this week and my dad bought it for me. To me, it was like, well, do I have some sort of birthday coming up, or those were the occasions I got a video game. And
sure,
having so many people who had Punch-Out, it was, I guess I never really just sought after it. It was always readily available to me. I always had a friend willing to lend it to me for a couple days or something. It was never hard to come by. But I love the game. I always fucking love the game. I find it very charming. I like the characters. I like the graphics for the time. It's very amusing to me. The gameplay is fun. I think the control is fun. I think the the music, the sound, just everything about it.
For sure.
I gotta give it a solid 9 out of 10, maybe a 10 out of 10. Maybe I'll go 9 out of 10 just because it's not flawless, it's not perfect, but
that raises a good point, actually. If you were to say that there was anything bad about the game, what would you say?
Anything bad about the game? I can't. I mean,
it's kind of tough.
I can gripe when I'm stuck and I'm frustrated that I got moved back a few guys, but I mean that's honestly not the end of the world, and it's a far stretch from being like set back to the very beginning of like a real tough level on Mega Man or something. So honestly. So it's, there's nothing wrong with the game.
You're basically in the same boat that I am then, actually, because what it comes down for me is like, if I'm to judge what the game is, it's a 10. If I have to judge what the experience of playing the game right now as an adult with my memory of how to beat like half the characters, I can't give it that quite high of a score because
like Mortal Kombat 2 being basically one of my very favorite games, or even, if today's, day and age, Skyrim or something of that nature, where I would definitely give it a 10 out of 10.
Sure.
Then I got to give it a 9 out of 10 at the very top.
I gotcha. Exactly.
It's just below those types of games.
Right. Is it like a favorite game of all time? No, but it's one of, I guess, like the best games I've played. There you go. I agree.
And I don't know that I would feel the same way about the exact same game with Mr. Dream instead of Mike Tyson. Something about that just cheapens it for me. I don't want to play Punch-Out. I want to play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, at least for this version of the game. Now, you did not grow to be a fan of Super Punch-Out on Super Nintendo. I actually really like that game, too.
Yeah, very briefly, because I'm sure we'll cover this one at some point. In fact, because of what you just mentioned, I'd be very curious to do so because we came away with different experiences. But just as a quick synopsis, I had it once as a rental for 2 days when I was about 15, 16, I'd say, about the mid-90s. My memory is that I thought the characters were far less interesting. A lot of them were really generic, and I thought lame. I don't remember. I thought the game became too graphically impressive that it lost a lot of the simplistic charm of the original. Yeah, and in addition, I don't remember the difficulty. I'll save the difficulty and the challenge level for when we actually do the game. Yeah, but I guess I just walked away just not thinking it was a very good experience. Not as refined as the original was.
To me, like I just said, owning a copy of Punch-Out has always eluded me to whereas I scored a copy of Super Punch-Out on Christmas morning and was excited to play it and enjoyed it, on Christmas break or whatever at that time.
Had that been the first time you'd ever played it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd really enjoyed it. But again, we'll talk more about that when we do Super Punch-Out episode.
Yeah, eventually. I'll be looking forward to it.
Episode number 308, probably. So
specifically. So tune in for that one, folks.
There you go. All right. Well, should we see what we're playing next week?
Yeah, let's take a look. Why don't you pull the lever of the GameTron 96.2?
I will pull it. And here we go.
Okay. This is a good one.
All right. We are being magically whisked away to the video arcade, and the Megatron Game Performer 6008 has told us that we need to go get a fistful of quarters, plunk it into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time for the arcade.
Yeah, you have played that far more recently than I have.
I have beat that in the arcade very recently.
Only about 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, a couple years ago. I had gotten a new job, and I had a week between. I gave my old job 2 weeks' notice, and I gave my new job a week's notice in between the two. And I decided I would get some shit done. I'd recently bought my house not too long after that, and I had just shit to do or whatever. But there was this arcade in Racine, and it was cool because if you popped $20 into the fucking the token machine, it would give you $30 worth of tokens.
Oh, nice. That's a deal.
I was like, whatever. Fucking A, man. I haven't gone and popped a shitload of money into an arcade in a long time. So me and my buddy Chris Blythe went up there, and I bought $20 worth of tokens, got $30 worth of tokens. I split them up between the two of us, and we just played the shit out of some fucking arcade games. We played pretty much every game in that fucking arcade. And then we walked over to the Turtles in Time, because that was actually our main objective. There was a reason we went there, and it was to beat Turtles in Time in the arcade, because as a kid, I had watched 4 kids sit there and play that and do that, and it looked so fun. I was not a participant, I was a spectator. And I don't know, I just always looked really fun. I'd never done it. I'd always wanted to go and beat it. There's very few games aside from Mortal Kombat 2 that I've actually taken the time to complete 100% in the arcade. So it's kind of a feat to go and do that. So here we go. We're going back to the arcade. We're going to play some Turtles in Time, and we're going to beat that fucker again. It's a beat 'em up.
I'll be looking forward to it, because I have never beaten Turtles in Time, and even if I ever have played it, I'm kind of uncertain. I believe I would have. It was on the Super Nintendo, and I had a Super Nintendo back when it was huge and it was new, and I absolutely would have played that game. But if I did, I don't remember having done so. So this will be kind of a new experience for me. I love the original regular 1989, I think, version of the Ninja Turtle arcade game, the first one.
Sure.
I don't know how else to describe it. The one that wound up on the Nintendo. I love that one. So if Turtles in Time is as good, if not better, which a lot of people seem to think it is, I'm sure this will be a good time.
It's really fun, actually.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very true to the 1980s cartoon.
Oh, that's always good. Always good.
Because that's the Turtles we grew up loving,
Obviously,
well, we'll get into that next episode.
That we will.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us for the Punch-Out episode of the Contra Code. As always, you can download the latest version of the podcast at iTunes, also at podomatic.com. You can look for episodes sometimes on our YouTube channel, the Contra Code podcast on youtube.com. You can like and join in the fun and check us out on our very active Facebook page at the Contra Code. And you can also become probably the best way to become a very interactive, hands-on member of the Contra Code experience is to join us at thecontracode.proboards.com. We have a page there where we talk about everything from old toy stores to nostalgic foods and action figures and toys and modern
in the span
retro
of
video games.
Movies,
everything.
Just over this last week, we talked about Mad Max Fury Road. We talked about The Sims 2. We talked about fucking the hardest boss of an old like 8-bit Nintendo game or whatever. All kinds of good stuff.
Speaking of Mad Max Fury Road, I'm going to see that tomorrow.
Nice. I so applaud you. I was thinking about that just today, because I remember that you said that you wanted to see Jurassic Park, which I do as well. And you said the reason why you wanted to see Jurassic Park in the theater as opposed to Mad Max, and I like this logic. It's backwards, but I like it, is because you said Mad Max will probably be good either on the big screen or at home, whereas Jurassic Park will probably only be good on the big screen, if at all.
I said if one of them's gonna suck, it'll probably be Jurassic Park. And I like a good popcorn movie experience. I can watch a bad movie in the theater with a group full of people and impressive CGI and, take the wife out to a movie or the wife and kids and go enjoy ourselves for the whole movie going experience. And it's easier to choke down a shitty movie that way sometimes. Yeah. You're in a theater full of people and it's the whole experience. And, I remember watching Jurassic Park, it'll bring back nostalgic memories right there, because just that was like what watching Jurassic Park in, the original in the theater was like. It was a jam-packed theater full of people ready to see a fun, awesome action movie, and that's what it was. And that's what I'd like to go experience again. I'm sure that I've heard nothing but fucking best action movie ever was probably the worst review I heard about the new Mad Max movie. So.
See, that's the thing. I don't want to oversell it, but like everyone in the world, like again, I know you don't just go by the critics, which you shouldn't anyway, but the critical rating on Rotten Tomatoes is 98%. I think last I checked, out of like 240 reviews, I think 4 critics didn't like it.
Yeah.
Everyone I've spoken to loved it. I personally loved it. I mean, the thing is, again, I don't want to oversell, and I'm doing a terrible job of that. But the thing is, I'm really happy to hear that you're seeing it in the theater, because for one thing, it's not a typical, modern action movie. It's almost all completely, it's probably 90% stunt work. There's very little CGI. It's old fashioned. It's over the top. It's balls to the wall. Just good old fashioned fun action. Yeah, and they just don't really make, they don't make a lot of movies like that anymore. So I'm really happy that you're actually going to be supporting
it. Well, the reason I was also too making a decision of what movie I would go see in the theater is because I have 2 kids that are 2 and under, and I they're kids, then they're too young to bring to the movies because they make noise, and a lot of people will bring their 2-year-olds to the movie, and you know what? Fuck those people.
Yeah, it's really kind of inconsiderate.
Your bullshit kid be fucking loud and obnoxious in the fucking theater while I'm trying to enjoy a movie. Now, it's one thing to bring a kid like that to a fucking kids movie where all the kids are being loud and obnoxious and not ruining the movie experience, because that's what kids movies are like. But bringing your kid to a fucking adult movie when other adults paid their hard-earned money and would like to enjoy a fucking movie is bullshit. So I don't participate in that ever. And I can't always just, get a babysitter or pay for a babysitter to come watch my kids while I run out to a movie. And I have to make choices. However, being the fact that this is Tuesday, and when you have your kids in daycare and you have to pay for daycare, you have to pay by the week. So whether they're there 1 day that week or 5 days that week, it costs the same amount of money. And now that I'm out for summer vacation with my job, I had, today was my last day, so I had to pay for this week of daycare. So I actually get like 3 days this week where I can still bring my kids to daycare. The rest of the summer, I have my kids with me 24/7. So I have a minute to myself for like the fucking first time since I've had kids. And I'm going to go watch fucking Mad Max. That's what I'm going to do with some of my time tomorrow.
The preceding tangent was brought to you by the Contra Code.
And kids.
No, I agree. I completely agree, and I think your logic is sound, and I'm happy for you that you'll be able to enjoy it.
And I'm happy for me, too, and I'm happy for everybody who just got to listen to this most excellent, righteous episode of the Contra Code.
Fuck
Check
yeah.
you next time. Bye-bye.